Welcome to Santorini, a gem in the heart of the Aegean Sea, where the whitewashed houses perch on the edge of an ancient volcano. This incredible location will once again play host to the best freerunners in the world. 18 athletes will do battle in 3 heats. Only 6 will make it to the final, where one winner will be crowned. Will local hero Dimitri Kursanidis regain the title he lost in 2016? This is Red Bull Art of Motion. Welcome to the architectural equivalent of a waterfall. That is the main reason that the tiny Greek town of Ia, perched up high here on the lip of an active volcano overlooking the Aegean Sea, has for the last 6 years hosted the most prestigious contest in freerunning. This is Red Bull Art of Motion. I guarantee you'll be seeing plenty more graceful transfers than the one you've just witnessed, and sharing his wisdom with us all day today will be the most passionate and knowledgeable voice in freerunning, Mr. Frosty Fresh.
It's always great to be back here with you, Ed.
It's a pleasure to have you here. For the uninitiated, walk us through what exactly is freerunning and parkour?
Well, as the name suggests, this is an art of human movement, born of military obstacle course training, combining gymnastics, breakdancing, and all sorts of different movements together in one. It can be seen from viral videos all the way to Hollywood blockbusters on city streets and rooftops around the world.
That is pretty much the most concise description I've ever heard of the sport. But why has Santorini become such a hub or a center point for the sport?
Well, the Santorini rooftops offer the perfect, pristine, blank white canvas for these freerunners to absolutely destroy the iconic white paint job here with their own unique style and skills.
Okay, in terms of athlete pedigree, who's here?
Without a doubt, we're talking about the cream of the crop. 18 of the best athletes in the world. But on top of that, this has become a freerunning festival almost. A week here of bathing in not only one of the best locations in the world, but for athletes young and old to meet their favorite stars of the sport.
Okay, well, we've given you plenty of reasons to watch today, but these are 5 things that you might not know about Red Bull Art of Motion. By stadium standards, 2,500 spectators may not sound like a vast amount, but when you consider how tightly packed in the buildings behind us are, 2,500 is absolute capacity here. Now, freerunning does walk the line. It's a fine line between art and sport, and today is competitive, but it's not a race. It's not against the clock. This is subjective, and it will be judged. Walk us through the format, Frosty.
Well, these incredible 18 athletes here are going to be divided into 3 different heats, each with 6 athletes. Now, from those heats, only 2 athletes could move on into the final 6. Each of those starting heats, though, could be considered a world-class final in and of themselves. But at the end of the day, there can only be one Art of Motion champion.
Well, technically there's 2, because there's a male and a female champion.
Right,
plus we'll be giving away best trick. But the person who comes in here, arguably with the biggest target on their back, is the defending champion from 2016. Bart Van Der Linden is with the 3rd member of our team now, Travis Wong.
Thanks, guys. I'm so excited to be back here for my 5th year in Santorini. Now, while you guys hold down the booth, I'm going to work on my tan down here with the athletes. Joining me now is the 2016 winner, Bart. Welcome back to Santorini. What is it like coming back as this year's defending champion?
It feels good, actually. I feel much better than last year.
Now, with that being said, have you changed your preparation and focus at all, or are you going to stick to the same game plan as last year?
Well, my goal is always to be safe, but I threw a lot of bangers in there, and I feel good about them. They feel safe. If I land everything right, my plan should work.
It's funny you said that. I just saw your newly released video, Bangers, come out just recently. Now, did you use that to prepare for the competition at all?
Subconsciously, I think I did. I spent 9 days, 6 hours a day on the streets, training, shooting that video, and it prepared me like physically for this competition.
Well, it definitely shows. I know you got to prepare. Good luck out there. Hope you can defend your title.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. I mean, Bart looks very, very relaxed there, but there was no pressure on him last year. This year, as we said, he's defending champion.
Well, arguably last year was a physically more grueling experience because he actually came in through the on-site qualifier and battled his way all the way to the finals. This year, I think he's got even more confidence, he's a lot stronger, and I think he's playing it a lot smarter.
Okay, looking at the rest of the field, who's going to push him?
Well, there's so many great athletes out there, but I got my eyes on a couple of these American athletes. Number one, it's got to be Joey Adrian. This guy has been crushing competitions worldwide. He packs tons of power into the tiniest frame, which allows him to hit more moves than anybody else in even the tiniest spaces. But fellow U.S. athlete Nate Weston has been back and forth against Joey in competitions all year. I think a friendly little rivalry is building up.
Okay, take a look at the women then. Who do you see doing well there?
Well, of course, you got to look out for veteran athlete Pamela Forrester from Austria. She's been in more Red Bull Art of Motions than any other female. Unfortunately, our top online finisher, Sydney Olsen from Los Angeles, had to drop out in the last minute, just moments before the competition, due to an injury during her warm-up training.
Okay, we have got Alexandra Shevchenko in there as well, and Pamela and Alexandra drew here for first place in 2013, so there's a real rivalry building up there. But you mentioned the Americans. There's also the small case of the local favourite, Dimitri Kirsanidis, a.k.a. DK. He won here in 2014 and 2015. Travis is with him now.
What's up, DK? It's your fourth Art of Motion, but most importantly, we're here in your backyard of Greece. What's it like to be home?
Well, everybody expects things from me, and everyone from Greece, as you can see and hear, they're shouting out DK, DK. So that makes me feel good. At the same time, it makes me feel nervous because everybody expects things from me, as I said before, and I'm just trying to do my best, representing Greece, representing my sponsors, Tempest, Red Bull, represent God, I represent all my people who are here for me, and I hope to do my best.
Now, you're a two-time champion of this event. What is it going to take for you to get on the podium this year?
Well, this year, everything is at least 10 times way harder. So I've prepared some originality moves. Hopefully they will work out, and I hope I will do my best. I will be healthy. That's my goal actually for every year. Be healthy first of all, then whatever happens, happens. I'm going to do my best.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go get ready. The crowd is cheering your name and chanting. Best of luck to you, DK. Can't wait to see you on the course.
Thank you, Travis. Bye.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, DK. Undoubtedly, DK was smarting. He really was hurting, having been knocked out in the heats last year, and that's motivated him this year, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And like you heard DK say, not only does he put a lot of pressure on himself as an expert competitor, but also he feels the weight of all of Greece. He's brought this sport into the mainstream there. People love him, and they want to see him do well, and he wants to bring home another title for them.
Well, you could hear the crowd chanting the moment he came in. You can hear the hoots, the whistles, and the cheers up behind us. He set himself the goal in January of coming in first on the online qualifiers, and he did that seemingly with ease.
Oh, without a doubt, one of the best online submissions we have ever seen in the Red Bull Art of Motion. He brought everything the judges wanted to see and more, combining styles from his own movements, from breakdancing, even adding in things from skateboarding. This guy's pulling inspiration from everywhere because he wants to win.
Okay, we've talked a little bit about it, but there's a carefully orchestrated qualification process here. Let's take a closer look at it. So, arguably the most standard way to get in is if you make it into the top 6 in the previous year. Not quite as easy as it sounds, though.
No, but that's where you see a lot of the veteran athletes showing their skills and making sure that they know how to act like a pro here on the course and get through every time.
Okay, so if you make it into the top 6 in the previous year, then you will automatically qualify. The next way to get in is through the online qualifiers. These are video submissions.
Yeah, an absolute battlefield too, because we get hundreds of submissions every year. Athletes get a year to prepare too, and they can film in any spot around the world, anything they want, and show off their skills. But the hardest way has got to be in the on-site qualifier. Now, I had a chance to check it out this year. 109 athletes from around the world absolutely destroying the course here in Santorini. It was amazing to watch. They've got 10-minute jam sessions, so it's a lot of time, but there's also 10 athletes on the course at a time. So if you want the judges to notice you, you got to shine with some unique moves.
Well, you called it a battlefield in the online qualifiers. This is a war, isn't it? We lost some big names here.
Yeah, going down from 109 to 5 athletes, you're losing people like Pasha Petkins, a 2-time Art of Motion Santorini winner, didn't even make it through. If that doesn't show you how high the level of competition here is this year, I don't know what could.
Okay, well, the one thing this qualification ensures us is that we have, pound for pound, the best 18 free runners in the world ready to go when the Art of Motion 2017 kicks off. Okay, well, the athletes are undoubtedly stars of the show, but the real superstar is this course. Talk us through it, Frosty. What makes it so special? What choices do the athletes have?
Well, I think one thing you're really going to want to pay attention to is the start of the course. It offers a couple different routes that they can take. If they go along this left side, they're going through the more densely populated, lots of technical areas, going to hit a lot of moves, but it could be more difficult to get that flow as opposed to going down the right side where you can show some of those bigger tricks, some of the bigger moves in the more open areas. But I think you're going to see a lot of athletes hitting this bar section right in the middle of the course. It's actually the only artificial piece that we've added to the already stunning terrain here in Santorini. Then one hot spot to pay attention to right at the end, coming off the main deck onto the final platform, there's a big, wide open ledge where athletes are definitely going to be throwing out some bangers to impress the judges.
Okay, and the descent, you've got a big change in altitude through here, and that creates the flow. One man who knows this course better than anyone, though, is Jason Paul. The German free-running legend has won Art of Motion 3 times. He came second here in Santorini. He's with Travis now.
What's up, Jason? Welcome back to Santorini. I almost didn't recognize you without being chased by a group of ninjas. Now, we got a perfect backdrop right now. The weather is cooled down. There's no rain. Is this the perfect competition day?
It's incredible. I mean, the time of the year, it's not too hot, not too cold. And look around you. This spot is just incredible. It's perfect.
Now, this is our 7th year back here in Santorini for the Red Bull Art of Motion. Now, why is this place the perfect spot for this competition? What makes it a mecca of free running?
You just have this sea of rooftops, and there's so many unique angles. Literally every wall you step onto, you can look around you, and there's a million different possibilities of what you can do. So all these guys can show off all their different styles on one course.
Now, for some of the youngsters out there, they may not know that you're actually the 2nd Red Bull athlete sponsor for parkour and free running. So what have you seen over the course of the last few years? How has parkour and free running continued to grow globally?
It's insane. You have more people from all over the world connecting. It's this weird online culture where everybody uploads different clips and tricks, and they exchange, and that's how we grow. And then this is the one part where everybody comes together and shows off what they got, and a lot of new tricks come to light as well.
Now, one of the things that stood out to me yesterday at the on-site qualifier is we had 3 kind of unknown kids make it. Now, what does that have to say about the future of our sport?
I think it's really exciting that we have this on-site qualifier. Even for myself, the winners got announced, and I was like, who are these guys? And they are insane. You have all these little talents coming from everywhere because parkour is everywhere and you can't watch it all. There's always a little surprise and someone coming up. So it's always an exciting event to watch. You really don't know what's going to happen.
Well, thank you so much for all you do for the sport. Can't wait to go out there and watch and see who's going to take home the title this year.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Take care, Jason.
Have a good one.
Well, you heard it there from the horse's mouth. Jason Paul telling us that there's plenty of surprises. Apologies as well, we've got a little bit of wind coming off the Aegean Sea. It just is bona fide coastal broadcasting. But Frosty, I'm going to ask you to put your reputation on the line, and it's not an inconsiderable one. Who do you think's going to... First I need a podium, and then I want a winner's choice.
Okay, well, if I was going to look at top 3, of course I got to put last year's champion Bart Van Der Linden back up there. He seems more ready than ever. But DK has that fire in his eyes, and I think he's going to bring it hard. And you can't count out Joey Adrian. The man has been on a mission all year, and he's definitely got what it takes.
Okay.
But if I had to pick a champion this year, I'm going to say returning champion Bart Van Der Linden back on top once again.
Okay, that's what Frosty thinks. If you want to join in the conversation, you can on Twitter using the hashtag Red Bull Art of Motion. If you pick a winner before the finals start, then you can win swag. No shortage of it. The event's about to get underway. We'll see you there. Welcome to the stunning Greek island of Santorini. This idyllic location is home to the world's greatest free-running event, featuring the planet's finest athletes. The unique whitewashed structures that sit proudly upon its volcanic foundation give the world's best a competition playground like no other. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Red Bull Art of Motion 2017.
Just on the tape.
The top athletes to the road
And the shade.
Wow. Okay, we got...
Are you guys ready?
To Santorini. Look at that view. It is absolutely breathtaking. There is not a more iconic location anywhere in sport. Perched up, we've said it already, on the rim of this volcano. You look out into the caldera, and the island in the center of that crater is actually still live. You can take boat trips out there and see lava exploding. Right now, though, we're getting ready for 18 of the world's best free runners to explode down this course. The windmill, such an important part of this course, opens up. Athletes starting right up on the top building there, bringing themselves down. Frosty, this competition has a reputation for improving year on year. This is our format. Heat 1, 2, and 3 each have 6 athletes taking one run. The top 2 athletes are in each of those heats will progress through to the finals, where they will have one more run.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the growth of this sport, each one of those heats now could have been a final from last year. Without a doubt, even some of the athletes like DK, he's saving his run that he didn't make it through to the finals with last year. He's throwing for his first run this time around. Just shows you how much things have progressed even over the course of a single year.
Okay, let's take a look. We've got all 18 athletes lined up now. Alfred Scott going for a hat trick of best trick victories, and maybe added a little bit of flow to his run, Frosty.
I think without a doubt he's going to be bringing something new this year.
Pedro Salgado from Portugal, the speed runner, who's brought it to freestyle.
Yeah, he's one of the most unique athletes in this because of his background, but Pamela Forrester, she's one of our top female athletes. Really looking forward to seeing her run. She knows how to handle herself. She's a real professional.
5 podium appearances over the years, and as we said earlier, she had a joint win with
Alexander Shevchenko.
Yeah. There you've got Alex Schauer, the Austrian.
Charles Long, another athlete along with Alex, who made it in through the on-site qualifiers. We'll see if they've got anything left after that grueling on-site process they had to make it through. But one of my favorite athletes to watch here, Valtteri Lumo-Aho from Finland. He's been traveling all year, really pushing himself, and he won one of the best top spots. But last year's champion, Bart Van Der Linden, has got to be the man to watch here. He's got a lot of love, and a lot of people love him.
Oh, he's brought the emoticons out as well. One of your picks here, Nate Weston. So precise, so technical. Definitely one to watch on the bars.
Yeah, very unique style. And here we've got Camille Kobayashi. She came in last minute to fill in for Sydney Olsen after she injured herself during warm-up training.
I'm pretty sure that was the power on sign, wasn't it? And then we just saw him in the interview with Travis.
A
local
man who needs
boy
no introduction.
going for his 3rd win here in Santorini, Dimitri Kirsanidis, a.k.a. DK. Okay, you've got
Dom Di Tommaso. He also filled in here from the on-site qualifier, covering for one of our other athletes that had to drop out. There's Ed Scott, one of our on-site qualifiers from the UK.
The Brit from Exmouth in Devon.
Joey Adrian, the Portland, Oregon athlete who's been crushing it all year in competitions. Really look for a lot of flow and a lot of energy from him.
Kaylin Chan One of the most charismatic runners you'll see, and one of Travis's favorites.
Yeah, he's got a very unique style. And if you want to talk about unique styles, Sheva is going to bring some very, very crazy moves. She's probably one of the first female athletes who could have won Best Trick overall. Didi Alawi, another athlete who came in from Morocco all the way through the on-site qualifiers.
Great style on that lad. And then Jeff Greedo from the States.
Yeah, he came in on the online qualifier, really sick style, but a relative newcomer to competition. There's Ukrainian Alexander Tidorenko. He absolutely blew away the judges with his huge tricks. We'll see if he can put together a solid line, but definitely expect some bangers from him.
Well, he was one of those kids you were talking about who's come from absolutely nowhere. He was known as Blue Shorts until the other day. 90-second run, 5 judges, each with one criteria: execution, creativity, difficulty, flow, and overall appearance. They each give 100 points, giving a maximum of 500 for each run. The 90 seconds is a maximum. The speed a lot of the athletes will be taking, very few of them are going to use that, are they?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you can complete the whole course relatively quickly. So if you make it to the bottom, it can really hurt your flow score to try and make your way back up fighting against gravity.
Okay, let's take a look at the men who have the hardest job here in Santorini today. It is the judges. Kai Willis, the Brit, is going to be looking after execution. Came second at the Art of Motion in Kuwait in 2011.
There's Sergio Coro. He's our flow judge, obviously known for his skills in movement, combining a lot of different styles, but very, very fluid. And former world freerun champion Gabriel Nunez is going to be judging difficulty, obviously something he knows a little bit about.
The man who studied criminal law and then became a stuntman. Then we've got Anand Anwar. As a kid, this was Thailand's answer to Michael Jackson, but he seamlessly transitioned into free running and is looking after creativity for the 3rd year in a row.
And someone who cares about appearance a lot, the very handsome Marcus Gustafsson, actually, small tidbit, voted 7th best looking man in Sweden.
Ooh, that's a good one to have. And then look at this man, Patrick Morowitz. Since 2010, he's been looking after head judge role at Art of Motion. He's keeping all of the others in line. Those are the men who will decide the 2017 Art of Motion champions. Okay, before we get this underway, Travis is with one of our favorites and one of the stories from today, Joey Adrian and Sydney Olsen.
This event is all about the athletes, so we're going to get some insight from some of them right now. Now, Joey, you've been absolutely on fire this competition circuit year. Now, do you still get nervous? And if so, what do you do to stay calm?
Oh, yeah, I definitely still get nervous. Pretty much every competition you're going to feel nerves, but I always just remember there's always going to be another opportunity, another competition. That keeps the nerves down till right before I go, really.
Totally, and now you've kind of had a little rivalry with fellow American Nate Weston. Now, outside of him, is there anyone else at this competition that you got to look out for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nate's a champ. I love competing with him, but Kalen Chan is slept on, man. I think if he lands everything, he's taking first. Easy.
Totally, man. Well, I know you got to get ready. Good luck out there. We'll see you on the course. Now, unfortunately, one of the people he won't have to deal with and worry about competing against is Sydney. Now, Sydney, what happened out there?
So basically, the other day I was warming up. I did a rise full, landed on a mat. Somehow, because I don't remember it, I took a step back and just fell straight on my head from like 5 feet, straight on concrete.
Well, you look great considering that happened. Now, I have a question since you're not in the competition. What is it going to take for a female athlete in order to make it to the finals this year?
Just like any competitor in the competition, they're going to have to throw down the best that they can and land everything and be super clean.
Awesome. Well, we're sad you're not out there this year. Hopefully you'll heal up, and we'll see you on the course next year.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Really, really disappointing not to see Sydney Olsen in there, but this is our first heat start list. Alfred Scott, that man going for the best trick hat trick. Pedro Salgado, Pamela Forrester, Alex Schauer, Charles Luong, and Valtteri Luoma Aho. Pretty stacked heat to kick off.
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy heats in this, but this is definitely a fire heat. And Alfred Scott's in that really difficult position, having to go first. I do not envy this man right here, but if anyone can bring the fire from the get-go, it's Alfred Scott. Looking forward to seeing him bring some really unique moves. Again, Pedro Salgado probably going to have one of the fastest times on the whole course, as he might just cover it more than once.
Pamela Forster, 5 podiums since 2012, and she's got a real shot at winning it today. Then we've got Alex Schauer.
Fellow Austrian here, who qualified on site. Look for a ton of power and really clean precision.
Okay, then we've got Charles Luong from just outside Neuchâtel in Switzerland. He's desperate to make an impression here. First showing at Art of Motion.
Valtteri, of course, with one of the weirdest styles in this competition right now. Look for some really clean twisting moves from him, but also some unexpected things, really playing to the creativity of the course itself.
Okay, we have now arrived at that time. You can see the flag up there is horizontal. Is the wind going to play a part in any of the moves we see here today, Frosty?
Absolutely. It's those, even the tiniest differences can make a huge change in how an athlete moves. If you really pay attention, some of these landings are within a fraction of an inch. So if they aren't exactly precise, if anything throws them off, it can totally destroy their run. So luckily, we have a lot of really talented athletes who are all professionals that know how to handle themselves.
Okay, the 24-year-old out of Boston, Alfred Scott, preparing to get this underway. He's known for his really big moves. Be interesting to see whether he adds some flow into his run this year.
All right, nice Kong front down. Cartwheel right into that palm flip, already showing more flow than I've seen from Alfred in a long time. Setting up for that classic gargoyle gainer that he's made into one of his signature moves here. Really clean and smooth so far for Alfred Scott. Nice, right into that pin flip. Coming up onto the bars. This is where we want to see him shine. Oh, last year's sickest trick in the middle of his first heat.
Stepping up.
Push gainer. Nice laid out technique, using that height. Very clean moves from Alfred so far. Coming up, dash over Kong and Webster down, and a wall flip off that ledge to finish it. Well, Alfred Scott.
Well, no shortage of big banging tricks in there, but the big question is, has he added the flow?
And it was so amazing to see Alfred taking one of the moves that won sickest trick last year and throw it in the middle of his first run. But here, this first section, you can see Alfred definitely trained that a lot, bringing in some of his signature moves, but really sticking them together. And I think this is an opportunity with stuff like that pin flip and casting up into that Kong gainer over the bar. You can see how he can put high-level moves into a run. That just shows the confidence that he has.
And he's a really tall piece of timber, isn't he? So
yeah,
he has to really work for the initiation of those rotations.
Yeah, 6'2". He stands above almost all the other athletes on this course. He's really able to put together a solid line. Many props to Alfred Scott, putting all the haters to shame who said he couldn't put together a good flow line. We'll see how the judges think about it, though.
Yeah, this is the hardest decision. The judges have got to put out a rangefinder, and they don't know yet just how good that run is. First run of the day, it's one of the hardest positions to take. But if we think about it, a 75%, which would be a rangefinder for most judges, would be around 400, and he's coming just under that.
Yeah, 377 puts him in first place so far.
Celebrates with a backflip.
Of course, making it all look easy.
Okay, so Alfred Scott setting the standard. First man in the first heat of the 2017 Art of Motion. Next in, Pedro Salgado. He made a huge splash with his first trick in 2016, used a wall smash off the top of this building into the windmill. Are we going to see him revisit that?
We'll see. I know he lined up a few big jumps during warm-ups, but he hadn't decided before the competition started. So this could be him figuring it out right now as well as us. You can see that tension on his face as he prepares himself mentally for whatever he's about to throw down. I can only imagine it's going to be big and it's going to be crazy. Oh, wow.
Just
really tight precision into that wall spin, smoothly making his way down the left side of the course. Another nice precision. He's just combining these skills really cleanly right now. Making his way back up.
He's moved all the way down and then 3/4 of the way back up the course.
Wow, front catch right into the outward side, off the bar. Added a ton more flips than he had last year. You can see he's been upping his repertoire. Massive precision over that big drop.
So plenty of transfers, some huge moves, and combined with the speed and flow.
And taking a seat and calling it.
So I reckon one of the, for me, in the last 2 years that I've been here, one of the most unorthodox lines. He was looking for some really new routes through there.
Well, like we said before, Pedro comes from a speed background, so he's really looking to use that that foot speed to get him onto some of those bigger jumps. But look at how he uses that precision. He actually couldn't even stick that landing if he wanted to. He had to go for that next move. That ups the level of difficulty just because it makes it so much more dangerous. But look at him landing on those 2-inch rails and going all the way over. Probably going to ding him a little bit for that, but overall, I think he was super clean in a lot of his movement, as we've come to expect from Pedro. And a lot of those technical transitions making his way across the course, the judges are going to love to see that.
So it's going to be an interesting transition for the, well, interesting comparison for the judges, because you've got two of the most contrasting styles already that we've seen.
They could not be any more different. But it's interesting to see how Alfred added a little bit more of that flow you might expect from Pedro, and Pedro adding a lot more of the more unique flips into his run that he didn't have last year.
But still, one covering, you could argue that Salgado covered nearly double the distance of Alfred Scott.
Oh, without a doubt. Covering that course makes it way harder because it's just wearing you down, especially when you're going back up, fighting against gravity.
Well, 5th place in 2016, you could argue that Pedro Salgado had almost worn himself out by finals.
Yeah, and a little known fact, he actually had to slip up during his run because a cameraman was in front of him, and so he ended up running again, which means that he ran more than anybody else.
That's right, and now that's reminding me why he looked so tired. I had a vision of him then in the finals looking absolutely exhausted. So you can see the crowd filling in here. There isn't a square inch of space. Patrick Morouet doing his job there, overlooking. He gets each of the judges' scores fed in. 397, a full 20 points ahead of Alfred Scott.
So the judges clearly liking that style. Adding in more movements offers opportunities to make mistakes, but it can also build up your flow score over time, and you don't have to necessarily hit as many hard moves. As long as you have a couple of those laid in there, you can rely on that execution and flow score.
Okay, first of our females came through the online qualifiers where you get 3 women and 4 men. Pamela Forrester from Austria, one of the most experienced art of motion competitors out there.
Very clean back full from Pamela, making her way to one of the awnings. Skipping over the right side of the course, using some of that space to make some nice flow. Ronnie down. Cash vault coming up onto the bars. Nice move. Oh, nice palm gainer off the bar.
So delicate with that.
In a crane back, making it much harder. If you notice, she was only on one foot and the other is on the front side of the wall. Very technical, and a clean landing from Pam.
Big run there, but maybe a couple of little holes, because the judges are looking for excuses here, aren't they? That's what they want.
Without a doubt, these judges are looking for any opportunity where these athletes could have a cleaner landing, a more smooth transition. They are very critical, and as much as they appreciate what these athletes are doing because they've all been there themselves, they are not easy to please. So that very clean start to her run.
The back full, a backflip with a 360 or a full twist in it.
And a lot of these smooth transitions, but you can see her stopping there for a second to prep for a move. Definitely going to be dinged by Sergio, the flow judge.
With the hesitation that small.
Absolutely. It's any little stutter step, especially when you look at athletes like Pedro that are connecting every single thing. It really puts the pressure on these other athletes to put it all together. But I think overall, a really great run from Pam, trying to play it smart. I know she wants to come away with a win. It's got to be hard for her having come in just with a tie with Sheva last time. So I think she's looking pretty happy with it, but all these athletes are so critical of themselves most of all. They're always telling me what they could have done better, which they wish they would have happened. But in the end of the day, it is in the hands of these gentlemen right here.
Okay, so the boys getting down to business, working hard there for these scores. Pedro Salgado deconstructing the run with that. So 3rd place, 303 for Pamela Forster at the moment.
So that drops her out of finals position, but definitely keeps her in the running for best female.
Well, Sydney Olsen was the favourite, so Pamela Forster and Alexandra Shevchenko will fight it out. Right now, Alex Schauer, fellow Austrian, came through the on-site qualifiers, was injured in 2016, so gave up his spot there.
Yep, look forward to some really big, clean jumps from Alex, but also some really creative moves. He's actually known for making some of the funniest viral freerunning videos in the world. But He's getting started here. Get his way up. Nice palm flip off the wall. Wall flip. Coming down. Oh, casting back into precision, straight into that back full.
Beautiful
nice
style.
Surprise move. Front flips over the gap, coming onto the bars. This is one of his favorite areas. Comes up to crane. I think he wanted a little bit more power that first swing. Let's see what he gets here. Nice, big lâché to precision. Front flips down onto the ledge, and he's gonna call it.
Beautiful run, beautiful.
One of the things I love to see about Alex Schauer is he does a lot of moves that aren't necessarily always the highest level of difficulty, but he puts them in really difficult places. So each of those things, even if it's a front flip off a ledge, which already is a difficult drop to take in your run, but he's doing it right to a precision and at the very end of his run, which is always a solid place to finish out your impression on the judges.
By precision, you mean a jump where you have a really small landing area.
Yes, exactly. And almost every single one of the jumps these guys are doing, like that cast back to precision on the ledge, back full straight out of it. A lot of great flow here. I think probably one spot where he stumbled a little bit. I know in practice he was getting all the way up onto that ledge, but I think he made for it here with this lâché. Oh, big swing over to that wall, and a nice front flip down onto that real tiny ledge on the edge of the course.
The core strength taken to use that swing out and turn it into distance is phenomenal.
Well, yeah, and absolutely you're transitioning from lower body to upper body, from different types of movement, one where you're powering through explosive movement, here where you're having combined gravity and momentum. It's just so many different things for you to have to think about all at once, and I think he did a great job of connecting it all.
Okay, so Alex Schauer's score is in 308. What does that tell you about what we've seen so far and what the judges are looking for?
Well, I think that they probably want to see a couple more of those more difficult tricks from Alex. I think he had that one great section right in the beginning of his run, but it faded out in terms of level of difficulty near the end.
So hold on a second, I'm going to interrupt you, Frosty. Apologies. We don't have a confirmed score for Alex Schauer yet. That score that we just saw on the overall standings is not the correct one yet, so we are still waiting.
Yes. Good shit.
So
that wasn't your score.
Regardless of what the actual score is, I think what the judges have recognized that the level of skill is so high here that you can't just focus on one or two categories to make it through. You have to represent in each one of these categories if you want to make it through to the finals, because that's what everybody's going to be bringing for that final heat.
Well, from what I've seen from a layman's perspective so far, you've got Alfred Scott on one side, you've got Pedro on the other in terms of flow and big tricks. You've got Alex kind of mixing up both of those, but maybe scaling it down a little bit too much in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, and I think probably one of the things you have to remember is that Alex did make it through the on-site qualifiers, so he's had to compete at least twice as much as athletes like Alfred in the past couple days, and it does take a toll on your body.
That freshness, the explosiveness, you can see Anand Anwar creativity in decent debate there with Pat Morowitz, the head judge. Oh, second place. So Alex Schauer moves Alfred Scott down into third. So right now, Pedro Salgado and Alex Schauer are advancing to the finals. So chances of seeing Alfred Scott take that hat trick of best trick has just
disappeared.
Well, diminished greatly, unless they're suddenly going to award the same trick as last year, the best trick.
Yeah. But I feel like we've got a lot of athletes that are going to bring some really, really unique moves, so I expect to see something even crazier coming up. But another one of our on-site qualifiers here, Charles Luong, he's got a super clean style and great combinations. Very clean so far, coming down Kong front over that wall, finding a vault with a flip there, and coming to the far side of the course, a section we haven't seen anyone yet. There you go, nice, using that far edge of that course to give him a nice hyper twist off the wall.
This is that left-hand side you talked about working technically.
Yeah, but it also is forcing him to have to come back up the course, some smaller jumps here, slowing down a little bit on these bars, coming back to that precision, landing and gaining off the ledge, back off, double A twist, stumbles a little bit coming into the vault, but he landed the flip clean. These younger athletes trying to gauge how much they have to put out to compete with these veterans. Some nice ground work into that chant right at the end. So a strong showing from a first-time competitor in the in the Red Bull Art of Motion. Charles Luong doing exactly what I think he came out here to do. He said he's just so thrilled to be competing with so many of his heroes. I told him I've got a feeling he's going to be making a few fans for himself today, and I think he did just that.
Yeah, the kid from Le Chaux de Fonds, just outside Neuchâtel, used his mentor Chris Vegg as his inspiration. You can see just how stoked he is to be out here in the main event at the Art of Motion.
And look at these little moments where he had to check his hands. It's for safety. He wants to make sure he gets it right, but the judges can definitely ding him for that. But very nice landing on this, but stumbles a little bit coming into that movement. So while his execution on the trick was fine, it was his transition where he actually made a little bit of a mistake. But it's great to see him come through and hit this final combo really clean, showing off his unique groundwork, and I think the judges are going to really respect that. We'll see if it's enough to put him over Alex and Pedro and get him into that spot for the finals.
So the flow score maybe taking a little bit of a pinch there. How do you feel about the difficulty?
I think he lacked some of those really exciting, unique movements. So while he had a lot of great tricks, while he hit some of those double twists that judges love to see because of the level of difficulty, I think he's lacking in that unique style that's really going to push his creativity, those individual moments that just stand out and shine. You know, when you can't put back to it and say, this was one of the most insane things I've ever seen, it's going to be hard fought to make it in the finals, and that's probably why he's ending up in 4th in this heat. Still a really solid score, but not enough to make it to the finals.
Okay, so Charles Luong slots in just behind Alfred Scott and just ahead of Pamela Forrester, which leaves our 6th and final runner in Heat 1 of the 2017 Red Bull Art of Motion. It's the Finn Valtteri Luoma-Aho.
Without a doubt, one of my favorite athletes to watch in videos. Not only is he combining his unique, almost strange, crazy style on really specialized parts of the courses, he also brings some of the highest level of difficulty moves. So there, straight away with that gainer side, coming over the walls, into a pin flip, onto the curved top of that roof, making it even harder. Like seeing him, oh, wow, going for that touchdown double frisbee, carting into a flip off the wall. Just so amazing to see in the middle of the run so smoothly. Each of these techniques just hitting it. You could see that look on his face and that double H was stomping out and calling it.
Wow, I almost started clapping then and then remembered I'm the commentator. What I love about that run is the stoke you see on his face. He's enjoying himself, like laughing through the run.
Well, it's a move that we just saw him hit for the first time in a video not too long ago, so bringing it into competition and adding it so fluidly into his run. There wasn't a big setup. It gives it that extra element of surprise that just makes that wow factor even stronger as he stomps the landing and continues it out. So here, great start, hitting that grab on that inside, and then that touchdown frisbee, so nice. You could see the joy on his face knowing he just hit the hard and smoothest run, but he wasn't done. He still stomped out double A twist, making it look easy. What's a high-level move for a lot of other people is just a finishing move, Valtteri. And you know what I love to see is as soon as he stomped that, I know he had other options for the end, but he called it because he knew that was a smart place to finish it. And this being only his 2nd time in the Red Bull Art of Motion, I love seeing that pro-level expertise on how to play a course.
Yeah, it's strategy, isn't it? Yeah, but is that going to hurt him at all? Are the judges going to say, well, why didn't you make it the last 4 meters into that finish deck?
Well, luckily he's been on tour with a couple of these guys like Anan Anwar, our creativity judge, and Jason Paul and Pasha, these veterans of the competition. So I feel like they've been giving him a lot of insight into what they're looking for and how to maximize your score. And it's always going to be better to land a banger trick and finish it on that rather than try to add something little at the end.
Yeah, exploded the finish. 389. Valtteri Luoma-Aho knocks Pedro Salgado out of the 2nd spot. I think...
or did he knock Alex Schauer out?
Yeah, he's knocked Schauer out, hasn't he?
Yep, so it's going to be Pedro Salgado and Valtteri in the finals.
Wow. Well, let's get confirmation of those results because right now we're doing that on early maths. So Pedro Salgado, 397 for that fast flowing run. Valtteri Luoma-Aho comes in and steals the show with the 6th and final run. Alex Schauer, Alfred Scott, Charles Luong and Pamela Forster all disappointed. Okay, down to Travis now. Who's with you, Trav?
I'm down here with the round one finalist, Pedro Salgado. You absolutely killed it on the course. Now, how are you able to pace yourself? Are you really conditioned, or did you take your time?
I take my time and condition a lot, but I didn't really did everything I planned. Like the last bit, I wanted to kind of pound flip in the end of the precision, but ends up that was good enough anyway.
Now, you can't give away everything, but I did see you eyeing a big jump later. Do you have anything special to say for the second round?
Let's see if my legs can take it.
Sounds good, man. Well, congratulations. We'll let you go get ready for the next round. Kill it on the course.
Thank you for the support.
Okay.
So there you see.
So this is our first heat winner, Pedro Salgado's run. And it was really, really fast, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, he covered some huge distance.
And again, really applying his skills in unique places. So he's sticking that precision onto it and then using that jump to that front swing over the bar to set him up so he didn't have extra swings on his swing outside. And then, of course, that first move, just absolutely insane, and finishing with this nice precision stride. Something tells me he wanted to make that last jump all the way, but he played it out really smooth, and I don't think the judges could fault him on anything. Obviously, it was enough to get him through into that final round, and as Travis said, I know he had eyes on a couple other big jumps. We'll see if he's able to keep that stamina up for the final round. But he's got plenty of time to rest because we still have 2 more heats to go.
Okay, let's take a look at our top 3 from that first heat. Alfred Scott just missing out on the finals, but a fantastic run from the American nonetheless.
I wonder if this is going to affect future competitions for Alfred, because I know he was really working to put together more flow in this run rather than hit some of the even bigger moves that I know he had saved up for that final round. We'll see if it affects him in the future, but for now, he's got time to enjoy that he just hit last year's sickest trick easy this time around. Pedro Salgado's amazing run here. Again, that jump over to the swing and right into that flip. Low landing, but able to pull it around. That just shows that strength and conditioning and commitment that he's got. Our first female competitor, Pamela Forrester. Nice run here. Here's that push gainer she hit really clean off the bar. And that final drop into her side summy down. We'll see if it's enough to put her in that best female spot over Sheva.
Okay. Conditions are perfect out here in Santorini. We're getting ready for Heat 2. If you're thinking this looks a little bit like CGI, you'd be right.
Well, and now you know why so many athletes are being pulled all the time for stunt jobs and movies. And, you know, we're at a time where people have seen what's possible now, things that people never thought they were going to be capable of seeing a human beings actually do without wires and pads. These guys are making it all happen for real-life superheroes.
And that's it. A lot of these guys will do the double work for those movies.
But what's nice now is they're in a position where they can support themselves as athletes. But
we're out. They took us into the promo break. That was different. But this is so annoying, isn't it? Welcome back to Red Bull Art of Motion 2017. Look at this view. If you think you're watching CGI, we can forgive you, but this is real, I promise you. You're looking at the tiny town of Ia, overlooking the caldera or crater of the enormous Santorini volcano. It erupted 4,000 years ago. The Earth was dark for 2 weeks, and there was no summer for 2 years. It is a dramatic setting, and the action is just getting started here. We've had our first heat of 6 athletes. We're about to get the second heat of 6 underway. There are 3 heats The top 2 from each heat go through to the final. Just 1/92nd run separates them from legendary status in the sport of free running. So is the rest of our athletes. Alex Schauer from Austria, brilliant run from him, Frosty.
Yeah, just barely missing out his chance to make it into the finals, but some really amazing moves. I love that cast back where he pushes off of his waist, not even using his feet, so he's jumping basically just off of his upper body strength, backwards blindly, landing on the ledge, and then doing a back full, so a back with a full twist. You know, these athletes are just taking this level higher and higher every single time. But
Okay.
Valtteri with one of my favorite runs we've seen so far. There you go, in that cart boomerang, so clean. You can see on his face how excited he was to land it. And then making his way down to the bottom of this course with this very clean double aerial twist to finish off his run.
Great strategic run from the Finn. And we brushed on the point earlier, but these guys are the real life superheroes, aren't they? Oh, wait a second. We have got the heat of doom coming up. We've got Bart Van Der Linden in there. We've got Nate Weston. We've got DK, Camille Tobias, the kid. We've got Dominic Di Tommaso. And Ed Scott. There's so much heat coming in this one.
I have to say, none of these are going to be easy heats. No one has an easy path to the finals. But if I had to pick one heat to avoid being in, it probably would be this one. It is stacked beyond belief. I mean, this could be your finals right here, without a doubt. Last year's champion, Bart Van Der Linden, right there, repping Tempest. Nate Weston, U.S. athlete who's been all over the competition scene this year. Camille Kobayashi coming in at the last minute to fill in for Sydney Olsen. And, of course, local hero DK here to reclaim his title. Two-time champion in Santorini. And Dominic Di Tommaso, who stepped in at the last minute to fill in for one of our online qualifiers who dropped out. And the Britons, Ed Scott, rounding out our second heat.
Yeah, as the rookies in there, Tobias and Scott, they're going to have their work cut out with this one. You've got 4 very, very heavy hitters there.
Yeah, absolutely. And with one of the things that I think really separates these is the amount of time they've dedicated to training just for this event. DK, I know, has crafted his style specifically for competition. I mean, he came up watching athletes here in his home country absolutely tearing it up from all around the world, and it has inspired him. But first up, we got my man Bart Van Der Linden, last year's Art of Motion champion, here to defend his title. Nice angled precision, drops down backwards into that back full. Very clean, one of the moves we saw him hit last year. Oh, that 180 jump straight into that plyo gainer, cork off the tiniest ledge. You can see him using all these really tiny ledges to make his transitions. What's he got here? Super clean double cork, but just stumbles back. Oh, he had such a nice, but look at that. Running jump to pounce into that back, and a huge front flip over the gap to finish it out.
Oh, how badly is that going to hurt him? And
wow.
Big question, do you think after that fall he adjusted anything? Do you think he decided to throw something big in because he knew he'd made a mistake?
Well, I know he had been considering saving that running jump pounce back for his final run, so he may have added it in this one because of that stumble. But look how he uses those angles, the more difficult parts of this course to use, the tiny ledges, all on odd angles. Even that taking off that, he's clearing over one of the ledges off of an angled roof to land on another angled roof. That ups his level difficulty so much. Even his takeoff for that double cork is off of a ledge that's only 4 inches wide. So judges are definitely paying attention to that. But you see how he had to split his feet because of the light he had to jump around, and that final front flip clearing over a massive gap. I think the judges are really going to like that run. It had a lot of things they love to see, but they're definitely going to have to take off some points for the stumble on that landing. But
it's the Swede Marcus Gustafsson who's going to have to cut him down the highest. I think he's looking at overall appearance, and it does stand out like a sore thumb in the middle of that.
Especially because he landed everything else so cleanly, and that was one of the most difficult moves of his entire run. And it's one of those things. In warm-ups, we saw him hit it over and over again, super clean. But when you're in the middle of a run, it just takes one little fraction of an inch to throw you off.
Well, we've talked about whether or not the wind can play a part in these runs. It's nearly 30 kilometers an hour up here, and on a big move like that, potentially it's blowing him around.
Oh, without a doubt. These athletes are, like we said before, pushing themselves within inches of their capabilities, maxing out their potential, and when you have even the slightest difference, it can throw you off. It looked like it just gave him a little bit extra rotation, and he made it around on the move, but I think he's definitely going to be dinged a little bit for that.
Okay, Bart Van Der Linden, the man who nearly made it to the Dutch national under-16 football or soccer side. His dad was very disappointed when he chucked it all in because, in his own words, it wasn't free or creative enough. But his dad's come round to Bart's way of thinking ever since he won the most prestigious free running competition in the world.
This guy who loves parkour, oftentimes abbreviated to PK, he put it right in there where it matters most. He says it keeps it as close to his chest as he does his own son.
There you go. His two kids, 3:42, and if the first heat told us anything, it's that score would not be good enough. So Bart Van Der Linden opens the door just a crack for the 5 other athletes in this heat to take advantage of his mistake. Okay. Next in, the American Nate Weston, and he's one of your picks for the top spot, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, Nate brings that technical difficulty and the unique style. He can place these movements that no one else can do in places that no one else would go.
Just his eye-foot coordination for landing on narrow objects.
Look at that outside twist with the other leg, pushing these movements and keeping it so close to the walls, bouncing into that inward side, vaulting through and coming onto the rail, side pre onto the rail. What? That's an 8-foot high ledge, and he is flipping onto a 2-inch rail. Coming through again with the outside leg full.
You can hear there's fans crawling over the back of the commentary booth here, and we can hear them just in disbelief at what they're seeing from Nate Weston.
So not as many moves as Bart did, but each one of them he did in a harder way. So he found the hardest way that you could take off for each of these things, putting them in some really difficult places, taking it from the outside leg, which always makes it harder because that's where you usually want to get a lot of your power, so he's having to kick it around. And for some of those, he's landing within inches of the wall so that he can grab on and use it for his next move. That ups the level of difficulty a lot.
As soon as we get to the replays on this, I want you to talk me through exactly what's happening on that first trick, because it was phenomenally quick.
Yeah, so you're going to see as he takes off, it looks like he's setting up for a traditional cork where an athlete would kick himself around, giving himself even more power to turn it into that flip and the twist, but his leg is actually kicking the opposite way that he's twisting, making it much harder, and he's landing really close to the wall so he can grab onto it. So I hope we get a replay on that first move and on some of those last tricks, especially that side flip precision onto that 2-inch rail, 8 feet up, pouncing him back into that swing, casting out into that side. Just such a great run from Nate Weston, the exact type of run that we want to be seeing from athletes like him. So look, twisting around, and look how close he is to that corner, landing right there so he can go into that cast back. It's a nice fluid run to set him up right into that precision bounce back side, and that signature side flip off the bar, coming down onto the ledges, and very fluidly making what could easily be a very awkward move for most of these athletes look totally natural for him.
He made, there we go, first man to break the 400. Nate Weston goes first in Heat 2. So Bart Van Der Linden knows that he is just one athlete away from losing his Art of Motion title in 2017. But such is the progression of this sport. And we saw it with DK. He won 2 years in a row here. It doesn't take much. You rest on your laurels for a second and this title's gone.
Yeah, and you never know who's going to make it through. Last year, Bart was an on-site qualifier. He ended up champion. Right now, we've got Camille, who's ending up covering for Sydney. So he only found out a couple hours before this comp he was going to be in it. So far, some nice flow into position, dropping onto that really tight ledge. front
Camille
flipping
Tobias
onto the dome.
taking that spot from Sydney Olsen after her injury.
Yeah, so he's had the least amount of time to prepare his run. That might be why you're seeing him look back and forth a little bit about where he's trying to go. So far, very smooth, known for his explosive power. Figuring out where he's going to go to finish this run. He's already making his way back across the roof, down onto that final ledge, finishing with that front flip 180.
So Poland's Camille Tobias made it in here through the on-site qualifiers. In 2014, he actually came to Santorini and he bet his rent on the airfare. He decided that rather than know that he'd got a place to live for the next month, he'd rather come to Santorini and say that he'd had a go at the art of motion.
Well, he told me, parkour is life. What more do you need?
There you go.
So, some really nice, clean moves from Camille, but maybe not the flow that he would need to make it through into that final. Bart may be safe for another athlete.
Well, I was about to say that. This is going to be a good test of just how high, or rather low, Bart's mistake has pulled him.
Yeah, and I think the hard part for Camille is when you don't have the same amount of time to prepare a run, it makes it a lot harder to throw those more creative moves. And you don't want to risk bailing in the middle of your run because, well, it's terrible to bail in the middle of your run.
But you've got the eyes of the free running world on you here. If you want to make an impression, this is the place to do it. The last place you want to come out and do a mediocre half run is here. You really,
Absolutely.
on this level, on this kind of stage, you have to give it your all, don't you?
Yeah, and each of these athletes has a totally different idea about what that means, each with their own unique style, making this judging process incredibly difficult, basically comparing apples to oranges time after time. I do not envy that position. I actually like it in the booth here with you, Ed. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, we're actually sat underneath a couple of potato sacks to keep the wind noise out, so it's not maybe quite as luxurious as we're used to. But Camille Tobias, score comes in 323, and you can see, even with that mistake, just how strong Bart Van Der Linden's score is. So at the moment, the defending 2016 champion stays in the top two, but there is no shortage of talent left to come down. And this man, DK, Dimitri Kirsanidis, won the online qualifiers, won the Art of Motion in Santorini 2014 and 15. He got knocked out in the heats last year because he saved a little too much for the finals. He isn't going to make the same mistake again this year. He has come to play.
And here he goes. All right, dashing down, making his way to the far side of the course, setting up that nice, clean 360 dive roll, popping up here. Oh, wow, 180 into Kong down, and stomping that double side. Very, very clean move from DK. We saw it in his Art of Motion online submission. And that cast up into that back roll up, 180 up to the palm flip off the rail. Rolling over onto the ledge. Nice Kaku full down. Setting up here. Nice side full over that final bar. And sticking that double full out of the scoot up on the final ledge. A risky move, saving a big double twist like that as a final move, but I think he wanted to make sure he made up for a couple of those moments where it looked like he had to take his time to set up for his bigger moves.
The Greek came in here like a coiled spring, and I guarantee you more bounce to the ounce from DK. He got the third highest score of the whole competition last year, and it put him in third. He came third behind Bart Van Der Linden and Nate Weston in his heat that year. Now he comes out here and he is not going to make the same mistake again.
So a lot of these moves like this double side, DK is known for having on lock, and he absolutely smashes it there. Coming up, not a huge bar athlete, but making sure to use every inch of this course. He hits 2 moves on those bars and hits that nice side full straight into this scoot up double twist off the wall. So that's 720, that's 2 full rotations, as well as the backflip, and he hits it right on the last move. We were talking about finishing strong. That's a great example of what DK just did here.
Well, it's phenomenal, isn't it, when you think that he doesn't exist as part of a big crew in one of the big hubs of free running. He's working on his own.
Yeah.
In Greece, without a massive crew or any high-end peers to really push him.
Well, it's been great that he's been able to bring a lot of attention to Greece, so he's actually building up a bigger community, and it's allowed him to bring on sponsors like Red Bull and Tempest that have been able to help get him around the world to more events. He's been able to compete in more places against more people this year. He's been traveling all over the world and definitely upping the level of his skills.
So Bart Van Der Linden sits on the bubble in second place. Right now, Nate Weston leading Heat 2 here at the Red Bull Art of Motion 2017 in Santorini.
Yeah, interesting enough.
3.91, he moves into second place, 9 points behind the 400, which leads for Nate Weston. But it does mean we will have a new winner here this year as the defending champion Bart Van Der Linden moves out. And critically, Pavel Petkins, the Latvian, aka Pasha, is here. He didn't make it through the on-site qualifiers. He was the only other man going for 3 wins in Santorini. DK could do it here.
He's the only man left who could do it here today. But next up, we have Dominic Di Tommaso, known worldwide for his huge drops, massive flips, and really, really tight precisions. Starting off with that vortex side, it's a 360. Before you do that side flip, stumbles a little bit, comes down into the step through, touchdown side. 720 dive roll, loses his hat, and takes the massive gainer down, not letting anything slow him up here. Coming back for a big run up for this nice flip precision down onto that ledge. You can't see it, but there's a big drop just to the left of that.
Well, we're looking at it now.
Oh yeah, here, all of that right on top of it, and Dom coming with a dive Kong over it. Now Dom did suffer a bit of a leg injury during training, but he said he really wanted to keep his run. He was really excited to throw down here, and he was filling in for another athlete who had injured himself during the shoots prior to the competition. So Dom coming in at the last minute and coming through with that nice vortex side, but can't quite stick that landing. That's one of the risks these athletes take with these off-axis flips. So he's doing a lot of spinning here. That 720 dive roll. A little known fact, Dom actually comes from a figure skating background. That's why you see some of these twists that he has coming so clean, but he's applying them in a whole new way. So nice dive Kong to finish it. Dom looking really happy with his run. I know he wanted to hit that 720 side really clean. And I think a lot of athletes expected a lot from Dom in terms of the big drops, but he's able to combine his movements a lot smoother and avoid having to take any of those big impacts that have been hard on his leg, because he did say he hit it during one of his moves during warm-up for the event today.
I think the 720 dive roll in ice skating or figure skating is known as the double axel.
Yeah, lands a little bit differently for them, but he's able to apply those skills here at the Red Bull Art of Motion.
Well, we could argue that he took one of the curse spots, because it was Stanislav Lazdan, the Latvian, who first had that spot. He got injured and handed it over to Christian Kowalewski, and then Kowalewski has then handed it on to Dom Di Tommaso. So,
who then did end up jacking his leg a little bit during the warm-up. So not an easy position for Dom or anybody in one of the hardest heats of the competition I have ever seen. Don't know if that's going to be enough to beat out that run from DK and Nate Weston, but definitely a solid run. I think we probably lost out on a couple of the big moves from Dom because of that little tweak in his leg.
And that stumble on the first hit. That's exactly the kind of excuse that the judges are looking for at this level. We've got 2 very, very clean runs from DK and Nate Weston, and as we saw, Bart, a fantastic run, but that mistake.
A single mistake put him out of the competition. You can see him right now thinking about what he's done, what he could have done differently. Not an easy place to be sitting after so many eyes on him, but overall a great run from Bart and the rest of this heat. We still have one man left, the UK's Ed Scott. Really looking forward to seeing this newcomer. It's his first time here in Santorini, but first we got to see where Dom ended up after a killer run with that super sick 720 dive roll.
Okay, the free running equivalent of Atlas, those shoulders are absolutely huge. He could probably bear the whole of EA and the crowd on them.
But that's what it takes for an athlete to be able to take those impacts, especially when they're going hands first instead of feet first.
Yeah. It's the one downside of this sport is that these athletes are so good, they make it look too easy, and you often forget just how much they're risking. They're diving around over 4 meters, 5 meters up over concrete. And we heard from Sydney Olsen at the start of the show that you only need to make a tiny mistake and you're falling on your head.
Absolutely. As we saw, she actually landed her move and just took a little back step down the staircase. That's all it takes sometimes. Everywhere here on this course can be dangerous. Let's hope this newcomer, Ed Scott, can handle this course in Santorini.
So the Brits, who ruled the art of motion in the early days between 2007 and 2011, been absent for a little bit, are now back with Ed Scott.
Very nice double full from him, coming down, do a worm back off that wall, again taking up just from his hands, a little cast off, coming down to a nice tiny precision, stepping through, hitting pretty clean wall flip into a cart side, and then pin flip down onto that platform. Nice little tricking line across the final part and stomping out that double leg cork. Looks like Ed Scott very pleased with himself, hitting every one of the moves I think he wanted to get in there. He was telling me before the competition how nervous he was having to go up amidst so many legends, and of course in one of the hardest heats this competition has ever seen, but getting a lot of love from these other athletes.
If anything, that does take a bit of the pressure off you, doesn't it? When you're in a heat of doom like this, where you know that it's going to be a huge fight between 3 of the favourites, you can kind of relax and say, you know what, I'm going to just do my best.
Well, you absolutely should have seen his face when they announced his name at the qualifiers. It's one of the best moments. I love when an athlete who thinks they could never in a million years make it through to an event they've seen so many times, and they're getting called out over athletes like Pasha and Dom that they've looked up to for years, and to know that now their level is surpassing the people that they've been inspired by to get here.
If that face was one of elation, I'd love to have seen the look on his face when he saw the start list for Heat 2.
Oh my gosh. Definitely would have been worthy of a gram. I'm sure somebody snapped it, but for now, I'm looking forward to seeing that score because it's a really clean run. It puts him in 4th place in this heat with 334 points, so not enough to make it through into that final round. That's going to be our DK and Nate Weston. So I would say no surprises, but of course Bart Van Der Linden being popped out. But no matter who came through here, it was going to be a surprise letdown for somebody because each of these athletes could easily be a top contender in the finals. But we are going to be seeing Nate Weston, who came through that first score to break 400 points, and just behind him, 9 points off at 391, is Greece's Dimitrios Kirsanidis.
Yeah, we're looking very, very solid out of Heat 2 because these are the highest scores we've seen so far. We can go down to Travis now, though, in the finish area because he is with DK.
What's up, DK? Now the crowd is going crazy for you. You probably have more pressure on you than anyone else. What was going through your mind before that run?
So basically, I was searching the whole day for a friend of mine who is one of the most famous rappers in Greece. The song that I used was one of his. I was searching for him all the way, and I was like, can't find him anyways. And then 2 seconds before my run, he appears up there, and he's like, DK, go for it. I'm like, yes, listen to the song and go. And I was so happy about it. His name is, we call him the 12 monkey, Dodekatos Pithekos in Greek. And that's what's going on in my mind in the beginning. Then as soon as I started, I was like, okay, go for it, go for it. After the double side, I was like, oh, look where I am. Literally, that's what I thought at that time. I was like, look where I am right now. And then I do the swing castaway, touch both legs. So I felt great. I really enjoyed my run. I didn't do the side snap that I wanted to do, but I did the side full instead. It worked it worked good, and the ending was very cool for me with a double full.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see your signature DK twist in the second round. We'll let you go get prepared, brother. Go try to take home that 3rd title.
So Dimitri Kirsanidis books his place in the finals. Just 2 spots left now, and they will be decided from Heat 3. That's coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to Santorini. We're here for the 2017 Red Bull Art of Motion. Welcome back to Red Bull Art of Motion here in Santorini. We are 2 of 3 heats down, just 6 athletes left to run for 2 spots in the final. This absolutely breathtaking view. We go on about it, but it never gets old. Look at that. What an incredible venue. It looks like CGI, Frosty.
I mean, I know from a free runner's perspective, this is an absolute paradise for movement. So I can't imagine anything better if you designed it on a computer. This is everything that a free runner wants to see. And you can see athletes like DK have come up training on this style, of course, and that's probably what gives him a little bit of a home court advantage over the rest of these athletes. Great run from Dominic Di Tommaso. Not quite enough to make it into the finals, but he seems happy overall. Ed Scott, though, probably one of the biggest smiles on his face finishing that run. It's just such a good feeling having hit everything you wanted all the way down to that final move and not even just landing that cork, but stomping it out with that double leg out, making that signature style shining for all of the fans to see back at home and here in Santorini.
Okay, if you've been watching all of the competition so far, you have been getting an idea of the form guide. We've got a Twitter competition underway. Use the hashtag Red Bull Art of Motion and predict your winner. You've got to do it before the finals start, so you've got about another 25 minutes to decide who you think's going to win. If you get it right, you'll be sent all kinds of Art of Motion swag. Hopefully it includes the incredible backpacks from the Amafico project that Pat Morowitz has put together. They are absolutely beautiful. Here is the start list for Heat 3. It includes one of Frosty's favourites for the title, Joey Adrian. Joey Adrian said he thinks everyone is sleeping on Kaylin Chan. Alexandra Shevchenko, the second woman to compete today after Pamela Forster, is in there as well. We've also got Didi Aloui, Alexander Tidorenko, also known as Blue Shorts, and Jeff Greedo. So Joey, Adrian, great things come in small packages. The powerhouse.
Yes, and Kaylin Chan, one of the most unique skill sets here. Definitely looking forward to see how he strings it together. And the only woman who could stand between Pamela and that Best Female Award, Sheva. Didi Alaoui, as we talked about before, some of the most style of any of the athletes here. And Jeff Greedo, coming all the way from California with his signature flow and tight tricks, and Mr. Blue Shorts himself of Ukraine, Alexander Tidorenko, who
I love
dominated.
He's perfected that Slavic ice stare as well. But we saw a little bit of the friendliness there before that. So we're kind of in seeded order. The first 2 athletes in each heat are the guys who qualified with their positions from the finals last year. 6 athletes come from the finals in 2016. 4 men and 3 women come from the online qualifiers, so video submissions, and they have a year to work on those. And then the last 5 of our 18 finalists come from the on-site qualifiers. 109 athletes are cut down to 5 over the course of 5 days. Joey Adrian, 3rd place in 2016. Can he better it here in 2017?
I can see him getting a little bit of grip on his shoes. These big winds have been pushing around a lot of dust, making it a little bit slippery for some of these athletes. Luckily, though, the rain from last night cleared up, and we got a beautiful sunny day for everybody out here on the course. Been watching Joey all year. He just won the North American Parkour Championships in Vancouver with a Kong Gainer Full, the first time that's ever been thrown in competition. Looks like they started his time before he's quite taken off there, but
he's going for something big here.
Without a doubt. Oh, double side to start things off, right into that worm gainer, and it looks like he palm flips down the stairs. Nice front flip drop, making it look twice as big as it does for everyone else. Does that same move that Nate Weston did, but inside the bar cage, making it even harder, shooing the cameraman out of the way. I think these guys just can't even keep up with how fast Joey's moving through this course. And it's that pike back. Oh, he's not done yet. Comes up for that pop up to that cast back off the wall.
The speed he moved through the course there. We said it about Pedro Salgado, the highest scorer in Heat 1. He was moving through, but the intensity of the run and the moves he was throwing in there.
Yeah, and he's throwing twice as many moves as Pedro did in terms of those higher level tricks. And starting it off with that double side is super risky because anything could happen with that first thing. But I love how as he lands, he even uses that 6-inch ledge that the bar set is on as a part of his combination. Because for Joey, 6-inch ledge is basically waist high.
Well, he made it down to this finishing deck really, really early. But even with those extra tricks tacked on to the end there, it was the fastest run of the day, under 25 seconds.
Yeah, but he's able to pack so much into that. Each section of that run had so many great points to it. But I think judges are definitely going to be loving that dub side, especially because of the way he pulls it through. It almost turns it into a side into backflip, making that level of difficulty even higher and harder to combine out. But he says he uses it to control his direction, and he's able to flow out of it really smoothly.
So, I hope you've got some paracetamol in there, judges. You're about to get a massive headache. That is just the first run of Heat 3 here. So, 373 for Joey Adrian. That's interesting. 27 points off the highest score we've seen so far. So a bit of work to do for Joey.
Yeah, I think one of the areas that Joey probably loses the most amount of points is in his creativity. Because he's got so many moves in his book, because he can hit all of the hardest moves, he's always going through and hitting, but because they've seen them before, because they know that they're possible. Like I said, he did the move that DK did. He did the move that Nate Weston did. He's hit a lot of these things, but they've already seen all of them. So he's probably suffering in that area.
Kalen Chan kicks off his run.
Kong Gainer, just to start things off. That's one of the hardest moves. And then that palm flip into the drop on that tiny little space. Huge front down. And doing that half raiden into a half dive roll. Really smooth, nice big dive roll over the gap. Let's see what he sets up for here. Nice, using that little half circle into that pimp flip off. Nice wall flip on that really low ledge. Penguin slide to Kong down. Now, that looks quite cheeky, but it's actually very technical because he is sliding face first onto a ledge, and there's another one right in front of him. But it looks like he had a ton of fun with that run.
There's the little lip there that you've got to catch and create your momentum out of that, isn't there?
But look how clean that Kong Gainer was, landing into that tight little spot, that big front flip down. And this move, showing off those really unique skills that no one else does here. And I love that slide into that little flare and that pimp flip out.
For me, this really is perpetual motion. There's no minute hesitation after any move. He knows exactly where he's going.
Yeah, and I just love his combination of those unique movements with the really technically difficult ones, and the fact that he did a lot of things that nobody expected. You know, anytime you can surprise the judges or the audience, you're going to get more points.
At risk of sounding like a principal or a headmaster, he has a sense of purpose.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm wondering if that run is going to be enough to beat out Joey Adrian's score, because he had a ton of creativity, he connected it really well, and for life of me can't see many places where he stumbled at all in that run.
Well, you can see spectators making their way up to the competition zone by donkey as the judges once again put their heads together. 381, so 8 points ahead of Joey Adrian, but he's ahead nonetheless. Kalen Chan has a bit of daylight to work with, while Joey Adrian sits in second place and watches the next four very, very talented athletes come down this course to join him. Next in, Alexandra Shevchenko. For your money, performed a trick here 3 years ago that was in the running for best trick.
I easily think she has, with her very, very unique style, the ability to come away with something that no other human being could land, which she did a few years ago here in Santorini. Oh, you can see her sliding down the course into place, stumbles a little bit on that step as she sets up to get into place here. But very smooth, nice pin flip off that very tiny ledge. Hopefully we'll get a replay later so you can see how tricky that is. Coming up here into nice worm back off her elbows. Coming through very smooth into this final piece, and a nice cart into aerial to finish it off. So a little bit slower run than we saw Pamela do. She wasn't charging those moves, but the level of difficulty was much higher. I'm wondering if she's going to get dinged for any of those little slips on her steps, but she's able to make them pretty smooth. But overall, yeah, I think that speed was a lot lower.
Right. A little less dynamic potentially than Pamela.
Yeah, but some very nice combinations. Even if the overall flow wasn't as high, she kept it smooth so she could connect things really well, especially into her higher level difficulty moves like that pimp flip off that tiny ledge.
A couple of really nice details in there as well with the slides in the transitions.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of that was planned and how much is just playing to the terrain.
So early 2000s, Alexandra was part of the Russian national gymnast team. She phased that out though and decided to go for something a little more free, open and creative in free running, and she's had great success.
And she's got a lot of coaching from her friends and her boyfriend Pasha Petkins, Red Bull athlete, who's given her a ton of advice on how to kill at these courses. He's definitely gotten her into great competitive place, so she knows what these judges want to see and how to play to her strengths.
So very important scores coming out here for Alexandra Shevchenko, because this will decide the female champion almost certainly. Pamela Forster hasn't made it through to the finals. If memory serves, she was 303 was Pamela's score. So just waiting to see what Alexandra Shevchenko's got.
It's got to be tough for these athletes. They have so much fun. They're doing what they love, but there is a lot of pressure on them. And in this moment, it's pressure to want to stay in, but also if you do stay in, knowing that you're going to have to keep going. So you can see Tempest athlete from Morocco, Didia Alaoui, setting up to go next there at the top. But
wow,
Sheva.
the score's just coming over the PA. The graphics haven't come up, but Alexandra Shevchenko comes in at 332. That is enough to move ahead of Pamela Forster. So Alexandra Shevchenko will take the Art of Motion 2017 women's title. Right now, though, we're back up to the top for Didia Alaoui, the Moroccan. In terms of style, one of your favorites, Frosty?
Without a doubt. He's been training in Denmark, working a lot on his gymnastics and dance to connect with his free running background. But he's a huge fan favorite. He gets a lot of love because he's one of the hardest working guys in the sport. Nice inward A-twist coming up, nice style. Kong gainer going down the stairs. It's always hard to tell what he's doing. Hyper twist out of that double full. That means 2.5 twists into a cork on top of that curved dome. Coming here, little bit of creative moves here as he sets up for something. Coming into the middle section. Nice double A-twist, cards out. Come down onto that final section and a big front flip down, and he's calling it. So one of the things that I think is so interesting about Didi's style is that because of that sort of dance movement that makes it so exciting to watch in smaller confined spaces, he can actually turn what may or may not be a bail into just a transition into his next movement. The hard thing, though, is that if he doesn't sell it right, it could always be seen as a mistake. But a nice A-twist, you can see him coming right into that movement, into that Kong gainer, a little bit off axis, and then hits that double full, that 720, but with an extra 180 into it so he can come straight into his next piece. Hitting that double A-twist, really, really clean, and then coming around for that big front flip, dropping straight down and stopping himself right in front of that final ledge.
Key for me was Didi's reaction at the end there. Everyone else applauding his run, but he didn't claim it, he didn't celebrate it at all. Do you think that was below par by his standards?
I think anything that Didi would have done would have been below his standard for himself. He holds himself to such a high standard, and it's one of the things we've talked to him a lot about as an athlete is just enjoying himself, because when he's out there having fun, he does his best, and people love to watch him. Like I said, he's a fan favorite. He gets so much support, especially from the Middle East. They love to see him, and he's one of those athletes that's pushed himself so hard from such humble beginnings. All right. 350 points for Didi, a really great score. I'm so happy to see him back out here on the course. This course really lends itself to his style, but of course his own harshest critic. even beyond these art of motion judges.
Okay, 4 athletes down in the third and final heat. 2 men left to drop. We have Jeff Greedo from the States. At the moment, we've got...
Jeff is one of our online qualifiers. He's known for his video style. Oh, look at that. 180 into that palm outward side. Comes down onto the left side of the course, does a little precision side up, and then easily hits that back double full, a 720 backflip that he just has to cart out of a little bit. And smoothly coming in onto the course, nice boomerang. And then that, oh, he does that Kong gainer down off the ledge, but just can't quite get around. Pimp flip onto that lowest platform and then front flips to finish it.
Oh, look at the disappointment on his face. He knew how close he was. It's an incredible style, just keeping the center of gravity super low.
Well, like I said, where you put these moves can really up the level of difficulty. So where you saw athletes like Didi and Kaylin Chan hitting that Kong gainer off of a ledge with the drop, Jeff Greedo hit his flat going down onto ledge, meaning he had so much more impact going onto it. Kanishi, one of the Red Bull free runners who did not make it through the qualifiers, recognizing just how difficult that run was. But here you can see that 180 into palm outward side coming through here, rolls on that little ledge and hits that double full really nice, but just has to vault out of a little bit because he over rotates. So I think Jeff's one of those athletes that really does well in the online and video competitions because he has opportunities to hit these a couple times and he's not dinged as much for his execution. It's more about that wow factor.
So Joey Adrian with the mistake from Jeff Greedo. I mean, he almost landed on his face there, didn't he? He was very lucky to get that rotation round.
Yeah, and it's lucky
really
that he has that really compact body type because he's really able to pull those tucks, but it just wasn't enough to get him around, so I think he's definitely going to suffer on his score a little bit from the judges.
I reckon he's going to suffer on his palms and maybe his knees a little bit later in terms of bruises.
Well, he's always got the infamous after party to soak up some of those woes afterwards, but definitely he should.
A free
feel
runners
proud of
after
that.
party is something to behold.
Oh,
Watching
yes.
people climb all over a nightclub. Okay, scores have been confirmed at 364 for Jeff Greedo.
Really great run. Looks like he used that swaggy style he's got to fix out some of those moves, but it's not going to be enough to put him into the finals.
So right now, Joey Adrian hanging on to that last spot in the finals. Kaylin Chan is guaranteed his spot with just 1 man left to drop, Alexander Tidorenko. The Ukrainian was known as Blue Shorts in the entire of the on-site qualifiers because no one had ever seen him before. He's lining up for something
clearing
big.
the crowd? He's pushing people out of the way, looking for a huge jump, giant 360 dive roll over the gap. Coming into place here, probably setting up for this nice side, straight into that pounce back out of the side flip. Nice cheek gainer. This is a much more fluid run than we saw. Great dive Kong.
Beautiful rhythm
over the
to
gap.
it.
Who doesn't quite stick that gainer precision, but is able to keep himself moving. Very nice drop down into place and finishing with a side flip into the final section. So we knew he was going to be throwing out some big moves. Nobody anticipated that he was going to be able to put together a line like that, though. So I think he was a lot smarter here than the strategy we saw in his on-site qualifier. But I think he knew if he wanted to make it into the final, he was going to have to connect it. And that beautiful 360 dive roll, he stalled it out, hands by his hips, making it even harder. And then he gets into place here. And I love how he's connecting these moves. So he hits that flip and just pounces straight back in the back flip. And then on those really tiny walls, hitting the dive Kong down. Gainers over the gap. That was one of the moves we saw in his qualifier run. One of the biggest gainers gaps I think I've ever seen in competition.
I hadn't actually seen it until we saw the replay there. There was that little domed roof, and he put the precision into the gap between the next wall and the edge of the domed roof. That was really nice.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the things that you have to recognize is even when these athletes aren't landing on a rail or a tiny ledge, each of these steps is still incredibly precise because it has to set them up in the perfect position to hit their next move. You can't have a moment out of place.
So It's your last chance now. Get on the Twitter competition. Use the hashtag Red Bull Art of Motion and predict your winner. We're about to get the score for Alexander Tidorenko, but you've seen all 18 runners descend. We know at least 5 of the 6 finalists. It's only between Titorenko and Joey Adrian as to who the 6th one will be. But get on Twitter. Use the hashtag Red Bull Art of Motion and predict a winner, and you can win all kinds of Art of Motion merch. So 380 for Alexander Tidorenko. He will knock Joey Adrian out of the 2nd spot. The Ukrainian can't actually process this. You can see him. It's me.
It's been literally translated to him so that he can even fathom the idea that he's made it into the finals. His first time here at the Red Bull Art of Motion, and now he has made it into the finals.
I've got to say, Joey Adrian, very, very gracious in defeat there.
Yeah, you know, Joey's funny. He's one of the athletes who really excels in competition, but he's told me over and over he just does not enjoy it. It's so much stress from it. It's so much pressure. I think he really just loves to move, and this has become a great opportunity for him to do it. But I think he's going to enjoy sitting this out and watching his favorite for the finals, Kalen Chan, moving up and going for his chance at the Art of Motion title.
Okay, well, the Heat 3 winner, Kalen Chan, is with Travis now.
Kalen, it's your 2nd year here at the Art of Motion. Now, did that experience from last year help you at all on the course to make it to the finals again?
Well, honestly, last year I didn't have any nerves. This year I had a lot of nerves because my goal is to always improve on my past self. So I was like, that kind of set the bar, you know. So I'm just glad that I did my best, and you know, that's all we can do. And so glad to go to the finals, dude.
Man, you had a pretty flawless run. You were in a stacked round with Joey Adrian in your same heat. Now, I saw you practicing some big moves out there. Is there anything special you have saved for round 2?
Oh, actually, like, my focus is for the final round. So, like, yeah, I have a lot saved for that, and my biggest hope was to make it there. So if I'm going, you guys are going to see some stuff. Hopefully do it good.
Sounds good. Now, I know you got to get prepared for the finals. One final question for you, though. Who else are you looking out for in the field of competitors? Who do you think is going to be up there on the podium?
Dude, I don't know. Like, this year has been, like, the craziest year of AOM. Like, I think the biggest lineup that we've ever had. Like, I honestly have no idea anyone could take it this year, dude.
Awesome, man. Well, best of luck out there. We can't wait to see you out there in the finals.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, Travis. Well, Kalen Chan booking his place in the finals alongside Tidorenko, the Ukrainian. Take a look back at some of the highlights.
Yeah,
of
if
Heat
you want to see
3.
where this competition has grown to, look at this run from Joey Adrian that didn't make it into the finals. Absolutely insane. Double sides. We're seeing Kalen Chan's beautiful con gainer down into that drop. I mean, what an absolutely gorgeous heat in this beautiful sunset over the Aegean. Sheva's solid run. Love that move. Definitely a well-deserved best female for her this time, all on her own, not having to share it. Coming down into that worm back off the wall. Very clean, and then, of course, coming through into that finishing platform. She's already got a smile on her face because she's hit all of her hardest moves. Look at that gymnastics pose just to finish it off.
She was super stoked with that. Okay, we have our finalists: Pedro Salgado, Valtteri Luoma-Aho, Nate Weston, DK Chan, and Alexander Tidorenko. We'll see you for the finals in just a second. Welcome back to Red Bull Art of Motion here on the stunning Greek island of Santorini. These are our finalists: Alexander Tidorenko, Kaylin Chan, Dimitri Kirsanidis, aka DK, Nate Weston, Valtteri Luoma-Aho, and Pedro Salgado. We can take a look back. Oh my goodness, it's proof of all of the different talents that we've got.
Yeah, and especially when each of these athletes has such a unique style, it just goes to show that there's so many things the judges are looking for. You can really bring it in a lot of different ways. But I'm most interested to see what these athletes choose to change from their first heat run into this final run.
Okay, well, we can take a quick look back now at the last 3 runs from Heat 3, one of which was the big surprise for us. So, Didi Aloui from Morocco. A couple of small mistakes in there for him.
But still, again, look at, he's hitting Kong Gainer. He's hitting 2.5 double backflips. He's got so many moves in there, and it's still not making it through in the finals. Jeff Greedo, again, so much power and so many different skills packed into one run. It's just not enough to make it through into the finals. But of course, one thing that we said is now you're looking at someone like not even able to make a single slip up and still make it through. Of course, our hero of that heat has got to be Mr. Blue Shorts himself, Alexander Tidorenko, coming all the way through the on-site qualifier, a relative unknown in the sport.
Relative unknown. Frosty, you were doing the live stream from those on-site qualifiers, asking if anyone knew who this kid was. Not even the event MC there knew who he was. He was like, anyone, Blue Shorts?
Yes.
So we're going to go down to Travis now, who is with 2 men who might be a little disappointed, but I'm sure they're stoked to have joined in. He's with Bart Van Der Linden and Joey Adrian.
I'm joined by 2 guys that many thought would be on the podium, let alone in the finals today. Now, I know it wasn't the result you were expecting, Bart, but you did great out there. Would you have changed anything in your run?
No, you know, you have to throw difficult moves if you want to make it to the final, and it just so happens to be that I land that double cork on my ass. I never land double cork on my ass, but I had a good time. The rest of the run was so much fun. Just wish I landed that one, yeah.
Man, well, you did amazing still. Your wall flip, maybe in the running for sickest trick in my opinion. Now, Joey, you had a little bit of issue with the cameraman on the course during your run. Now, did that affect you at all?
Yeah. The cameraman was definitely in my way. As I was doing the scoot to the full, I was actively saying get out of the way because I saw him when I landed the Lachey side. And got up from it, he was still in the way, which kind of ruined the flow for the whole end. But I mean, that kind of stuff happens, and it happened a lot in practice, so I semi-expected it. I'm not too upset. I really like my run. First time doing double side on concrete. Stoked on that. I'm happy to see like a bunch of new people in the finals, and stoked to see what happens from it. So yeah.
Man, well, you could have fooled me. Your run was absolutely incredible. Now, I got to ask both you guys, in your expert opinion, who are you looking out for to make it to the podium this year, or who do you think is going to take home the title?
Blue Shorts guy.
Blue Shorts guy? And what about you, Joey? Who do you think is the favorite to take home the title this year?
I said it earlier. I still stand by it. Kaylin Chan, if he lands his moves, he's taking first place. I guarantee it.
Well, we got a couple of predictions from some guys that know very well what it takes to get into the finals. Now, I know the question that's going to be on everyone else's mind is, can we expect to see you guys back here next year?
No doubt about it.
Sounds good. And what about you, Joey?
I'll do my best to get here, of course. I love this event.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. You guys absolutely killed it. You should be proud of yourselves, and can't wait to see you guys back here next year.
Well, no shortage of things to discuss, Frosty. Not first, and I suppose most importantly, when you look at 2 guys with that much pedigree, they're going to have to fight it out in either the online or on-site qualifiers next year.
Well, as you know, they're both capable of doing it, as Joey originally came in through online, and Bart has qualified both online and on-site in the past. But it is not going to be easier. Every year it gets harder and harder, and that's why making it through into that final 6 is the maybe not the easiest way to get through, but it's the safest bet. So it's a lot of weight on their shoulders after a lot of people really thinking they were going to do well, myself included. Thanks a lot, guys. But I think if anybody can do it, it's these two veteran athletes. I really expect to see them back here next year.
Okay, let's go back and pull apart what they were saying about winners then as well, because we've got Bart calling blue shorts, Alexander Tidorenko, the guy, it's a real fairy tale. The guy's come from nowhere, no one even knew his name at the on-site qualifiers, and all of a sudden he's in the final. He's repeating what Bart Van Der Linden did last year.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think sometimes, like we talked about before, if you are that dark horse, then you can bring something unexpected with every single move you're doing because nobody knows what to look for.
Well, you talked about it, the law of diminishing returns, but, I mean, first place qualifier in Heat 2, 400 points, Nate Weston. Neither of them mentioned him.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what Nate has saved for this run. If his first run is anything to say, this is going to be absolutely insane.
Okay, let's take a closer look at how each of the heats worked out. We can see our qualifiers from heats 1, 2, and 3 and line them up as finalists. So, from heat 1, we saw Pedro Salgado, the Portuguese, going up against Valtteri Luoma-Aho, who managed to take out second place. For me, Pedro Salgado was one of the most dynamic athletes in 2016. He came in here from the on-site qualifiers and he exploded onto the course. He had that huge wall smash from where the guy in the pink shirt stood there onto the windmill. It really opened up, but he's changed his style and morphed this year, hasn't he?
Well, I think that Pedro last year came just wanting to show his own style. This year, I've got a feeling he wants to win.
Okay, well, we've got Valtteri Luoma-Aho, who came in and snuck that final place right out from under Alex Schauer's nose. And then this was the highest scoring of the heats. We saw Nate Weston and DK come through there. And then this one was very, very tight. Joey Adrian, Alexander Tidorenko, right down to the last man. And, of course, Kalen Chan winning that heat. So our 6 finalists, Pedro Salgado, Valtteri Luoma-Aho, Nate Weston, DK, Kalen Chan, and Alexander Tidorenko.
And there they are now.
So the Finn,
Valtteri, the Finnish mad genius.
He comes from a free running scene where there's around 30 people and they live in 7 months of winter. So
Pedro Salgado, absolutely looking forward to seeing some really unique jumps from him. And DK, a man who needs little to no introduction, especially here in Greece.
Going for 3 wins at Art of Motion.
USA's Nate Weston coming here to try and claim his first title at the Art of Motion. And of course, our newest hero, Alexander Tidorenko, came all the way through the online qualifiers to here. One of the most coveted places that a free runner can stand in this sport today.
And then Kalen Chan. So much talent coming out of America, but this man still manages to slide under the radar. I mean, there's a lot of very, very different stories here in the final. For me, Nate Weston, the man who's won almost every other free running contest out there, this is one of the glaring omissions in his trophy cabinet.
Yeah, he absolutely wants this. And as quiet and kind-hearted as Nate is in person, he is deeply competitive, but most of all with himself. And so, like you said, this is something he has yet to accomplish, and I think he's really pushing for it this year.
Okay, Valtteri Luoma-Aho, the man who smiles all the way through his run. He really, really enjoyed his heat run. Let's see what he's got here for the finals.
Get a good cork up off that little ledge, coming down onto the dome. Big front flip down. Nice off-axis back. Skipping a lot of these big parts. Takes a dive roll here. And a front flip down onto this final ledge. And a nice double full, sticking that landing right at the end. Now we missed the angle on that dive roll he took over the wall, so I'm not sure how well he transitioned it, but it looked like he played it pretty safe overall with that run.
He came out a little bit awkward, didn't he, off that dive roll?
Yeah, I'm wondering if he ended up cutting out anything because he took that impact there. But really clean start to his run, and then he transitioned really smoothly through the course. It could be a strategy, though. When a lot of these athletes start getting more nervous for their appearance in the finals, they're making more mistakes or they're trying to go big and they're not able to land the moves. He did everything that he knew he could, hopefully as clean as he would have liked, with a lot of flow in that first section. We'll have to go back and watch the replay.
Well, you talked about him being really strategic in the heats. Do you think that's part of his game plan, to just lay down a really solid run? If you watched last year, all you needed was a solid, steady run in the finals, and you would have taken out a podium spot.
Absolutely. So everything we saw for the most part pretty clean. Doing that stride down here, we can get another angle of that dive roll. Oh, but yeah, that's definitely going to cost him a little bit there. Good clean front coming through here.
Talk me through it. What actually went wrong there?
Well, it just looked like he didn't get the height in his hips that he needed to make it all the way over. And when you're coming onto such an awkward landing, like that curved rooftop, you really have to be able to get it exactly at the right angle, both for your impact and for your body to be able to carry that momentum. Otherwise, you're literally just smashing headfirst into a wall.
Do you know why they have those curved roofs, the domed roofs here?
Why is that, Ed?
It's because we're in a heavy earthquake zone, and the domed arch structure is the safest, most stable roof structure. It won't collapse.
Well, good. How about for taking massive drops from free runners?
It's brilliant. It will not collapse. So 309, Valtteri Luoma-Aho, first runner down, moves into first place, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, for the top spot, not unless we see some more very big mistakes.
Not unless we see one of those earthquakes during all of the other competitors' runs. Well, I think that's enough.
Well, with this man on the course, an earthquake isn't out of the question. Pedro Salgado, the Portuguese, looks like he's warming up for that wall smash again.
Yeah, anytime you see somebody line up in a place to start their run where nobody else has, you can expect something really exciting. And hits that wall bounce again.
Unbelievable.
Over the top of the course.
It's one of the most...
Turning around for some really smooth strides. Oh!
Was he going for the precision onto that little ledge there?
Yeah, and he made the distance but didn't quite get that landing I think he wanted, but he kept moving out of it, so we'll see how much the judges take away for that. But look, he's made his way all the way back up to the top of the course, and he's done a palm spin to turn around.
Wow.
Big front flip over the drop, and then takes Kalen's Chan. Smooth, that penguin slide to the Kong on the ledge, but adds a little bit of an A twist off of it and calls it.
So Salgado, no one yet really claiming it, because you can tell so much about the athlete's opinion of their run once you see him in the finish deck, and he's really, really not happy with that, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult when you only have one or two really big moves planned out. I know even that wall pounce right there, he would have liked to hit cleaner to set him up into this, but he's able to play it out pretty well.
He absorbed, his timing last year was way, way better, and he managed to keep his body against the wall.
Huge. So far, the cameraman couldn't even keep up with it in slow-mo. But adding in those swings on the vertical bar instead of the horizontal one, making it just a little bit harder, and then stealing Kalen Chan's little penguin slide Kong, but adding in that 8 twist.
Arguably doing it a tiny bit better as well.
Yeah, and he adding in an extra move afterwards. Oh, this makes it a little harder.
Okay, so the score from Valtteri Luoma-Aho's mistake means that there's only a 309 to beat. But a couple of small mistakes in there from Pedro Salgado. And the judges really don't want to get caught out by these and get pushed too high. So it'll be interesting to see where they put the Portuguese runner. Made the finals 2 years in a row, though. He knows he's qualified for 2018. So Pedro Salgado, 3:30. Good enough for first, but we haven't seen a clean run yet, and we're already 2 free runners into this 6-man final. Next to drop, local favourite, the man who in January set himself the goal of making it first through the online qualifiers. He did that, and he set himself the goal of winning here. One of the most driven men in free running, and he carries the expectation of Greece on his shoulders. It's DK.
I love this moment of anticipation before it goes down. Kong gainer in that tight spot. Drops down onto the stairs, palm flips onto that staircase. You can see how he's landing actually on the stairs there for that move. Calls it out. 360 to dive Kong down, and he's coming over to the far side of the course. Oh, Webster's up to Kong down. Little surprise move there. and then 180 into that pop off the wall. A lot of these moves are ones that only DK can hit. Look how clean that wall flip with the 720 is, and just stomps it in such a tight landing. You see how close he is to the cameras and everything. Lazy back over the wall. He's slowing down a little bit for some of these moves and stopping, so his flow score is definitely being held back, but I think he's focusing on the execution. Little DK flip out there, signature move that he created himself with that kick.
Wow.
Some nice smooth flow to finish it.
That was phenomenal. As you said, there's so many different influences in his running. And for me, what's the difference between jam and marmalade? You cannot marmalade that many tricks into a course this side. He was just, that you talked about it in the pre-show, that left-hand side of the course, the looker's left, he was just trick, 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 trick. It was so thick and fast.
Yeah, and I think this year, he took his time. He didn't worry so much about his flow score because he knew he had so many high-level moves he wanted to hit. That Kong gainer into that tiny spot here, then dropping onto the staircase. You see he holds up for a second, but it's because he's hitting this palm flip down. And then look, oh, he actually turned that Kong into a little bit of a reverse fall out of the 360, and that perfectly landed. Wall, double full, and the lazy gainer over the wall.
This raises a really interesting question, though. You said it yourself. You cannot afford to ignore a category. You have to be an all-rounder, and he has sacrificed the flow score here.
Yes, without a doubt, he let go of some of those flow points, and that's something that he's very used to picking up. But I think he recognized that the place where he was going to be able to get the most points was in that level of difficulty and execution, and so he decided to focus on that, maybe strategically after seeing the last two athletes suffering on those other scores.
Very good point.
DK definitely is coming to this as a competitor. He's looking for that win, and a 384 could definitely put him in place for that. That's a great score.
Okay, 384. He came through with, I think, a 393, just behind Nate Weston's 400. And certainly on the strength of the heat scores, this man comes in as your favorite to the finals. He pulled out a 400, the only man to break into the 400s. He's going to make his way down to start a little bit lower.
Well, I know Nate Weston always focuses on a couple moves that he wants to hit for sure and how he can put them all together. Nice, using that vaulting position, coming from sitting, having to combine hands and feet. Oh, and that Webster straight into Webster on the dome, making that position even more difficult to hit. Look at that 180 catch right into that cast. That's so nice.
Incredible flow here.
A little fake out there.
Having just watched DK's run, there's a brilliant comparison there because we saw half the amount of tricks, but they were all flowing naturally. That was like water.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting thing to see these different strategies come back to back. And of course, I think that's one of the reasons why scoring well in your heats definitely make it a lot easier doing so you can see more of what's going down, what the athletes are going to throw. But Nate Weston, yeah, again, a very interesting choice. A lot less moves. You can see he skipped the first third of the course coming down, starting here on this wall. But he's connecting everything really well. Seems like he hit almost everything just how he wanted to. Maybe a little bit lower on some of these landings, but he's able to pull it around.
From my perspective, being a layman, without that, the most impressive part of his heat run was the flip to rail, where he landed on the rail, and he omitted that for the finals.
Yes, he definitely has, in my opinion, an easier run in the finals round. I think he must be focusing on trying to hit that execution and flow. It's really turning out to be one of the most strategic finals we've seen in a long time.
Okay, well, as we saw in 2016, the real battle came to make it to the finals. DK lost out. Everyone too frightened to take their foot off the gas at all in the heats. But Nate Weston, a 400 in the qualifiers, has maybe given DK a little bit of hope here. I think Nate Weston would have been one of the athletes DK really, really feared.
Oh, absolutely, especially because he and Nate have a similarity in their style in terms of their ability to find really unique elements on the course and apply really high-level difficulty moves to them. But like you said, they took two totally different strategies, If I had to judge it right now, I would say that DK's strategy probably worked out a little bit better, but these judges really do love that flow. It's what this sport is all about. You know, being able to not just hit a move in one place, it's about being able to connect it all into a whole art of motion.
So Sergio Cora in charge of flow. I also think at this stage that Anan Anwar, the creativity judge, could be a kingmaker.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, and it's something that we've seen time and time again with athletes like Joey Adrian, who didn't end up making to the finals, even though his level of difficulty and execution was all there. Without those unique things that set him apart from the other athletes, it's just not enough to push him through.
So you've got to bring your own style to this most unique of free running courses. There is only one artificial element on this course, the bars center stage. Everything else is naturally occurring architecture in this phenomenal village perched on top of the rim of a volcano, a live one at that. If you're just joining us, we are here for the crescendo of the 2017 Art of Motion. These four gentlemen have already descended the course. There are two left. So first place for Nate Weston. He pits DK by 2 points, 386.
Wow.
So DK will not make it 3 Art of Motion victories. Nate Weston right now sits in the top spot, but he has a very nervous wait. He knows he's on the podium. He is top 3. But will Kalen Chan or the completely unknown Ukrainian Alexander Titarenko pip him?
Wow, I'm blown away. Like we said, those two strategies totally different, but it all comes down to how those judges feel about each individual piece, because they have so many things that they have to look at, so many different qualities that they can be pulling from. And, you know, when you've got an athlete like DK hitting way more moves than Nate Weston, he's really going to end up potentially losing down on that flow score, which is what it looks like it happens, but just by a fraction of their score, just 2 points separating those two athletes.
Okay, there are confirmation of the first 4 athletes. 386 over 384 between Nate Weston and DK. Pedro Salgado in third on 330. Valtteri Luoma-Aho in fourth on 309. Alexander Titarenko will run next, with Kalen Chan, the 6th and final man to drop. So the fairy tale continues for the Ukrainian, aka Blue Shorts.
Yeah, as you can see, his first time in the finals, his first time at the Art of Motion, first time in front of an international crowd, and he smashes that running pounce to backflip. We saw Bart do it in his first run. Oh, wow! A huge drop in that gainer precision. I can't wait to show you guys a replay on that. Nice side flip over the gap. Oh, it looks like Titarenko's already bringing the run that we were hoping for from him. It's coming down with a nice vault into place, clearing another gap with that side flip. He's flipping over gaps that other people were jumping over.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? There's no fear and there's no expectation, and that's set him free.
Yeah, that hesitation is just absolutely invisible on his run. If it's there at all, we can't tell. But
take a nap, Alexander. Take a nap. You've earned it.
Absolutely. That guy has been working hard these last couple days, put it all on the course.
Come on, Frosty, call it. You know the judges are in there. They're generating a headache right now. Do you think he's done enough to take down Nate Weston? He scored 380 in the heat, and I think that this is a better run.
Yeah, that first move just set it so high up, and this gainer precision, amazing. That might just be enough to beat out Nate Weston. Yeah, and he really connected everything super well. I don't think he had any real stumbles or mistakes. Maybe the variety of his moves might not be there, but he did have a couple of those really big bangers right at the beginning of his run. I'm going to say I think he just beat out Nate Weston to make himself in first place.
Well, you talked about this at the start of the week. You said that we're coming into a generation of free runners where no one's coming from gymnastics or from martial arts or from any other kinds of sports. They're growing up as free runners, and it's these kind of kids like Alexander Titarenko who are really able to showcase that they've got everything.
Yeah, and without a doubt, Alexander Titorenko just showed us that with a score of 418 points, putting him into first place over all the other athletes, the highest score we have seen today.
That is the highest score we have ever seen.
Just
the highest score ever at Art of Motion. Not just the highest score in the heats, not just the highest score of 2017. This kid has just blown the Art of Motion out of water.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
speechless.
Alexander Titorenko, take a bow. At the start of the week, he was blue shorts. Now everyone in the world of free running knows his name. Welcome to the big show, Alexander Titorenko.
Woo! Man, and the thing is that he did exactly what you're supposed to do. In the on-site qualifiers, he stood out in a crowd of stars. In the heats, he pushed it enough, but combined enough to get him through. And here in the finals, he put it all together. Couldn't ask for anything more from the young Ukrainian.
Okay, Kaylin Chan is ready to drop the last man, the only person who can steal Alexander Titorenko's thunder, and he looks so relaxed.
Oh, wow. He is setting up for... Oh! What an insane way to start that gargoyle gainer off of his elbows. I've never seen a gargoyle gainer set up like that.
But as we've seen with the big risk moves early on, it can cost you, and there was a slight stumble.
Yeah, he's moving pretty slow right now, but full in, back out. Stomping it. I've never seen that thrown in competition onto hard ground. Cast over Kong gainer. Another stumble for Kaylin Chan. That's definitely going to ding him on those flow points. But really, really high level of difficulty on two moves I've never seen thrown in competition like this before. Finishing it out with a super casual cork just to close out that run. You can see Valtteri just can't even believe what he just saw.
There was disbelief written on everyone's faces.
Honestly, I do not even care what his score was. This kid should be so proud of himself. The other finalists just giving it up to him. DK with a slight look of dismay as he recognized he may have just been pushed out of that podium spot.
If that run was a race car, he had the rev limiter blasted the entire time.
Yeah, the only thing about that run is it just had stumbles on so many of the landings, and we've seen how harshly those judges are critiquing them on those landings. But they scoot up full in, back out. That's a 360 backflip, and followed by another backflip before he lands it. So it's a double backflip with a full twist on the first one, and then cast over Kong gainer, a move that won Sickest Trick last year as a part of a run that had so many bold moves thrown into it.
Is there a best trick contender in there for you, though?
I mean, there's three best trick contenders in that one run.
So Kaylin Chan just blowing out on a couple of those huge tricks. You've got to give it up to him, though. We started off with some very conservative runs where people wanted to play it strategically, and we've built up perfectly as a crescendo to a run that was just on the edge the entire time.
Yeah, and you could probably tell just from the tone of our voices, just the energy that was just exploding off of that run. Whether or not he stuck every one of those landings, he definitely did them with a lot of power and control. He's very capable of each one of those moves. Obviously, he's not throwing them callously. I know he eyed up a couple of those things last year, but chose not to throw them because he didn't feel ready. Definitely ready this year. Amazing run from Kaylin Chan.
Okay, well, let's see where that score sits him. So fourth place for Kaylin Chan, 346.
So obviously he's getting hit for all of those sloppy landings, which I totally understand. But that gives him a great chance for that best trick, and we have a new Art of Motion champion, Alexander Titorenko from the Ukraine, making a surprise showing at the on-site qualifiers, pushing his way through, battling his way to the top of the biggest competition in the sport.
It's absolutely phenomenal because he hasn't done it by fluke. He's come in here. It isn't anyone else's mistakes that have handed him this victory. He has banked the biggest score in Art of Motion history.
I feel like I've almost watched his style develop and improve in this competition. over the last 3 days, he has built an award-winning flow that didn't even make an appearance in the qualifiers only a couple days ago. This guy has just come out of absolutely nowhere, put it all together. Even those transition moves, he's putting it into most amount of power and that control, and each part of this, flipping over that gap straight into that really smooth. You can see he's getting himself on here with so much power, holding nothing back. We've seen so many of these athletes getting more and more strategic, which is awesome to see as they're playing it smarter. They're veterans, but it's newcomers like Alexander that are just bringing that energy that we love to see here at the Red Bull Art of Motion.
So confirmation of the results: Valtteri Luomaho in 6th, Pedro Salgado in 5th again, Kalen Chan in 4th. DK has to settle for 3rd. Nate Weston not repeating his heat score. Even if he had, it still wouldn't have come anywhere near the highest score in Art of Motion history. It goes to the rookie in a fairy tale story, the Ukrainian Alexander Titarenko.
Wow. And we said it before, this finals round was going to be unreal no matter what. Just the total variety in their styles, in their skill sets, and they brought it. And I'm so happy to see a newcomer coming out on top, because it just shows that every year the sport progresses to the point where you can have athletes that you've never even heard of, whose names you don't even know, coming through and beating out some of the legends of this sport, multi-time champions. But at the same time, you can see how this strategy is developing, how these sickest tricks are getting crazier. I mean, how many times did we see last year's sickest trick from Alfred Scott being thrown in the middle of competition? It's absolutely insane.
Okay, we're going to go down to Travis now, who's with Alexander Titarenko, our 2017 winner.
I'm proud to be one of the first to congratulate you. You are now the 2017 Red Bull Art of Motion champion. How excited are you?
Я вообще в шоке и не осознаю, что сейчас происходит.
He's shocked and he don't understand what's happening right now. He's just shocked. Didn't expect it at all.
Well, at the start of the week, he was known as the blue shorts guy. No one really knew who you were. You came from nowhere and absolutely killed it on the course. Do you think people are going to remember your name now?
Dull, we've got crazy bass in our ears.
Просто взорвал. Думаешь, твое имя запомнят люди теперь?
Думаю, да.
You think yes?
I definitely think people will remember now. Now, I have a big question for you. Is there a favorite part of your run? What was the trick that you were very happy to land out there?
Какой твой самый любимый трик? Чем ты доволен больше всего, что ты сделал на площадке сегодня в финальном ране?
Именно в финальном?
Во всех, пофиг, неважно.
Мне запомнилось два трюка: 360 ролл и стрикосад вакурус.
360 dive roll in his first run at the very beginning, and then he did a gainer precision on his finals. So this is the two favorites, and he thinks that those are the best, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, your run was absolutely insane. You're in good company hanging out with the former winner in Pasha. Congratulations, sir. You are the 2017 Red Bull Art of Motion champion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Travis, and congratulations to Alexander Titarenko. A phenomenal performance from him, and great to see that he's one of Pasha's students. Pasha down there translating for him.
Yeah, and he picked out two of his favorite moves. Obviously highlights that huge 360 dive roll. He literally had to clear the crowd out of the way so he could hit it. And then, of course, that massive gainer precision. It's what we saw in the qualifiers, and he brought that same energy all the way through into the finals. I would be hard-pressed to pick a favorite move from his runs, though, because it was so many great things that he was hitting. That running wall pounce to the same windmill that Pedro hit, but then he hit it to backflip. I mean, he was pulling things from other athletes. That was one of Bart's signature moves. It's so cool to see.
Okay, so now we go on to the prize giving, and the first prize that comes out today is to the Russian Alexandra Shevchenko. She beats out Pamela Forrester, the woman who she shared this trophy with back in 2013. So plenty of things for Eastern Europe to celebrate today.
Absolutely. You can see here connecting a lot of these really tight combos, putting together some good footwork, and then some really great power moves. That pin flip you're going to see off the low ledge right here, and she came into it so smoothly. And then, of course, finishing out with that nice worm back off the wall right here at the end of her run. A well-deserved win from Sheva.
So The ex-Russian national gymnast takes out the trophy here in 2017. Sydney Olsen, no doubt the American, watching. Disappointed that she wasn't able to compete, but congratulating Alexandra nonetheless. Now we're looking at third place. It's the Greek athlete who came in. I asked you about that, Frosty. How clumsy are free runners?
DK trying to take a selfie as he walks up onto the podium, trips up, so he has to Webster step out just to show he's still got it.
For a man who's done so much for this sport, DK is one of the most humble and grateful men in free running. Very, very deserved performance there. He'll be disappointed not to take the win, but I think even he will bow down to the level of running that we've seen here today. In second place, it's the American. You called him, Frosty, Nate Weston.
Yeah, I was close to this podium, but not quite, although everybody expected to see Nate Weston back here in the finals again. Seeing him on the podium is great. I'm sure we're going to see him come back again so he can get that elusive Art of Motion title. But for this year, it goes to the man in those infamous blue shorts, Alexander Titorenko.
The Ukrainian is a student of the sport. You can see the way he built that run, the way he progressed through the day. He has gone from quite literally no one to the very top, the pinnacle of free running this week. And he has taken out the most coveted trophy in the sport. 2017 Art of Motion champion, Alexander Titorenko. This leaves just one trophy to be decided. Frosty, what have you seen in terms of best trick?
I don't know. It would be really hard. I feel like they just gave it to Titorenko. I think he just won it potentially for either that 360 dive roll or for that huge gainer precision over the gap. I mean, and if anybody deserves to take home a couple trophies, that man worked harder than anybody on the course today, battling it through those on-site qualifiers, the jam sessions early on, the finals, and then all the way here to the top of the top.
There is.
If I had any more trophies back here, I would give them to him.
There it is. Yeah, there's the best trick. So
officially in his hands, a champion through and through.
First place and best trick.
I think this may be the first time in Red Bull Art of Motion history that we have seen the winner also taking home the best trick. Oftentimes athletes like Albert Scott are hitting single moves or going specifically to hit something.
The bar hasn't just been raised by Alexander Titorenko, it's been strapped to a shuttle and sent to space.
Oh, launched out of the atmosphere.
How can anyone come from nowhere and not only take out first place and best trick, but also probably, I think, most proudly when he looks back on this, bank a score, the highest score we've ever seen at the Art of Motion.
Yeah, and the thing is that he seemed so surprised the entire time. I don't think that he was even thinking about what the other athletes were doing, about those scores, or about what he would get. It seemed like he had something in mind that he wanted to do, and he let it all out on the course, and it worked. And the judges loved it, the audience loved it. We sure loved it here in the booth, and I'm sure you loved it at home, because it's what this competition has become. It's what it represents to the sport. It's about pushing those boundaries. It's about seeing what humans are capable of, and that is by far the very limits of the human potential.
And it was a truly trailblazing performance by the Ukrainian. We're going to head down now to the finish area where we can see Travis is with our women's champion, Alexandra Shevchenko. He's got to fight his way through the crowd first. Where are you? Look, there's Alexandra.
Absolute madness down here, guys. I'm right in amongst the winner's circle right now, standing next to the 2017 winner right here. Also the winner of the Best Female. Congratulations, you guys. Now, Alexandra, you won Best Female this year. Now, did you think this was going to happen this morning, or are you proud to come back and win this?
I worked really hard for it. I tried to do my best, and I did it. Thank you.
You did absolutely amazing. You're a great role model for everyone out there. Do you think more women will try to compete next year?
Yeah, of course, and I wish we can compete not against the boy. I wish we can have our own competitions.
Sounds good. Now, you put down a very flawless run. Is there anything that you could do next year that would be different? Do you have any moves saved?
No, I just missed one small trick, but who
Well,
knows?
it was good enough to take home the title. Can we expect to see you back here next year to try to be best female again?
I will try. I think I will try.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Now, I just spoke to you downstairs, man. You look like you're covered in champagne. You probably don't understand half the things I'm saying, but how happy are you right now?
Просто вообще, я не могу передать своими словами это.
I'm being told that he says he doesn't know how to describe how he's feeling. He's excited, and I would probably be the same way. Now, I got to tell you that everyone out here at the beginning of the week was unsure who you were. Now, do you think you're going to come back next year with a target on your back, or you think that everyone's going to respect you and you'll come back as defending champion?
Когда вернешься обратно в следующем году, люди будут тебя воспринимать как серьезного противника или так же?
Думаю, ну, есть такая вероятность.
He thinks there's high potential.
Awesome, man. Well, I can't wait to see you here next year defending your title. Thank you for throwing down, and congratulations. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Well, a fantastic performance from Alexander Tidorenko. Frosty, we talked about it in there. This is a landmark performance. It will go down in Art of Motion history.
Oh, absolutely, Ed. And this is the kind of moments that the Art of Motion was created for, to give these unknown athletes who are training all around the world the opportunity to share on a national or an international scene what they're working on back at home. And I think this is going to be inspiring kids for the entire next year until basically we see somebody up the game again next year.
Yeah, the on-site qualifiers held at the Tomato Museum here on Santorini take people from what is fundamentally a very basic man-made course right up to this, a parkour paradise. And for Alexander Tidorenko, I mean, he's shown that he can perform at any level here.
Yeah, literally showing that he can take his massive skill set anywhere in the world and really wow anybody. Because I feel like after seeing what he threw down in that qualifier course, I didn't know how he was going to be able to apply it into a full-on run here. And he proved me and everybody else wrong and really showed us what he had.
Okay, let's take a closer look at that run that we've just seen, the winning run, the highest score in Art of Motion history. Frosty, talk us through this.
All right, so you can see starting off with that massive jump to the wall and then bouncing into that backflip straight off. Super difficult move. You got to really place your jump perfectly. But this sickest trick of the entire competition, that gain of precision onto that tiny ledge with the drop on the other side, and then he just effortlessly carries it out into the rest of the run.
As he absorbs each move, it's powering him into the next. There is no hesitation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times when you're seeing these athletes try to be really smooth and strategic and place themselves in a position, they're holding back a little bit. But there was no holding back for Alexander as he just rushed this course, pushing it through and through. I can't think of a point where he slowed down at all.
One of the most important things for me and the things I like about this is that our judging panel are a constant here. So many of them have been here for so many years. Pat Morowitz since 2010, Anand Anwar since 2014. And these guys have seen it all. So it's not like they're changing around. They've got so much context in which to place this run. And they've said this is the most perfect run they've ever seen.
Yeah, and in addition to being, qualified athletes themselves, they've seen hundreds of submissions. They know where this sport is at. They know where the level of the thing is. So when you can see an athlete like this that can show up out of nowhere and wow them, you know it's got to be something special.
Okay, well, we're coming to the end of the Art of Motion here in Santorini. But if you're interested in seeing more of this kind of thing, stay tuned for Battle of the Year. It is the most prestigious breakdancing contest of all. B-boys and B-girls from around the world gather to celebrate the culture of hip-hop. It all happens on the 21st of October in Essen, Germany. Do not miss it. It's live on Red Bull TV. And if you want to share anything that you've seen today, you can if you've been watching on Red Bull TV. You can use the timeline or the drop-down menu on the left-hand side of the screen to pick your favorite athletes from the heats or the finals. And then you can use the social buttons to share those moments with your family and friends. Well, it has been a truly historic day here in Santorini, and the famous sunset is coming in. Frosty, are you shocked? I mean, I've got goosebumps from today.
I'm still just overwhelmed, and I feel like we couldn't ask for anything more from these athletes or this beautiful island.
It has been a truly phenomenal day of free running action here. Frosty and I are absolutely spent. I hope you are too. We'll see you next year at the Art of Motion.